had my back through some very tough times due to my career and losing family members. She's protected me from being used from other family members as well as other women. When I met her, she had a job, she had a vehicle, and an education. She had work ethic, and she cared about people. She is the only woman I've ever trusted in my entire life, and I always told her that cheating was a deal breaker. In essence, it was a death sentence for the both of us when it came to a relationship, because I established boundaries early on, as did she. It's been great. Marriage is a work in progress, but I am very happy. That being said, I do not ever hang out with female friends, nor does she hang out with the guys. We hang out as couples, and that's it. She has 100% access to my phone and the other equipment, and I have access to all her devices as well. If you don't have trust, you don't have anything. This has been great success in our life. Men, I ask you to do this as well, as you will find success and happiness. While it is never 100% guaranteed, you have one heck of a good chance. Sincerely, Jeremy. Wow. Let me give my thoughts. Quite often, I have people come through the comments, and we've read stories also of people going through a lot. And even though they went through a lot, they still was able to find a person, a woman to marry, and they say they are the happiest people in the world. This is not the first story I read where someone has gone through a lot, and then they finally found someone, got married, and they've been married for at least 8 years. There was one where someone was married for 20 years. Like they had children that went to college and everything. Him and his wife are just like the best of friends, and they're great and they're happy. That was an email I remember. I remember someone in the comments saying something like that. It was like 10, 15 years. So it is possible. It is very possible. Because what I think happens is this is what happens. A lot of people, they go through a lot, right? And you go through this, you know what, I'm gonna focus on myself, which is smarts, which is what you should have been doing the first time, which I wish I would have been doing the first time, just focusing on my purpose instead of trying to simultaneously work on my purpose and try to find a wife at the same time, because you can't give both 100%. You can't. But the thing is, I think a lot of people go through that. They go through trouble with women, and we could just be picking the wrong women because we're not vetting good enough. We're ignoring red flags. We're not as focused as we should be. And I've read several stories where guys say, "Hey, I just went on my purpose, found my purpose, did my thing, and I found a woman that was worth marrying, and I was married for 20 years." It could be that they started to vet women better. They didn't ignore red flags. The first red flag that popped up, you're out of here. I'm not dealing with you. They set boundaries early on. This is what's going to happen. And at the same time, like he said, it's not 100% said. Marriage is a work in progress, but he's happy. So I'm pretty sure his wife still does. She's a woman, female nature. I'm pretty sure some things still happen, but he's somehow learned how to shut it down immediately. Put his cards out on the table from the beginning. This is what you need to do. If not, you got to suffer the consequences or whatever. And it seems to be working for him, just like it's been working for a lot of other guys. So I'm not mad at you, man. Like, I'm not one to say, because I don't believe in relationships or marriage anymore. I just don't. For me, that's just how I feel. I wouldn't. I'm not like trying to encourage people like, hey, don't ever go out and try to actually vet women and not ignore red flags and see if you can try to find. So I'm not doing that, and I'm not telling you to do that. You do what's best for you. Like he did what's best for him. He went and focused on his purpose, and then he ended up finding someone, and they've been married for 8 years. So salute to you, man. I'm not mad at you at all. I have friends that are married now. I have buddies that are married. A lot of my family members are married. Young family members, like cousins. So I would just encourage young people listening, and if you're not fully on your purpose and you haven't figured out what you want to do in life and things like that, and make sure you're good, make sure you're the best version of yourself, I wouldn't waste my time trying to find a wife, because you're not going to vet her like you should. You're not going to you're going to ignore some red flags. But definitely, man, salute to you, and salute to every guy who has sent an email saying like, yeah, I went through a lot. And some of these guys went through a whole lot, and they actually ended up getting married again. And it has been years, and they're just happy. They say they're happy. Now, I've read some stories also where a guy have gone through stuff, and actually it was a Reddit story recently. Gone through stuff. He's gone through stuff. He leveled up, was doing really great in life, remarried, and it was a huge mistake again. So, it it really depends on the purpose, and it depends on where your focus is. So, but salute to you. I like these types of stories. I like the different stories. I like the stories where, hey, it worked out for me, even though I went through the same things we went through, and I still follow this philosophy. So salute to you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for sending in your story, guys. If you want to send in a story, send it to truestorynation@gmail.com. Here, I'll put it on the screen. That's truestorynation@gmail.com.
Hundreds of flamingos were rushing in the same direction. Each year, the flamboyance gathers on this lake, and all the members join this sacred ritual. They were working too hard, doing their best to impress a partner. First to the right, then to the left. The flamingos danced together in front of the watching eyes of a hungry hyena, who decided to take advantage of their presence to feed his starving stomach. Since the colony was totally consumed by the Wraith, he lurked around the lake and won himself an adult bird. He shook the water away of his fur after a wet attack and maintained his prey between his jaws, waiting for the rest of his comrades to join the feast. Two other hyenas seem to be busy preying on their catch. An unfortunate flamingo has been captivated and instantly executed. And now is the time for them to enjoy a tasty meal. While on the shore of this lagoon, this baboon pinned his eyes on the flamboyance. A large number of flamingos were standing in the water. One of the birds was injured, making himself the baboon's target. The hungry predator effortlessly captured him and then dragged him in his jaws to the shore, where he started tearing its flesh apart. His fellow wanted to imitate his hunting technique, so he charged at the flamingos, but failed to capture any. Sometimes you beat the wind, sometimes the wind beats you. And so the birds flew to safety. This jackal was on a mission to satiate his hunger. He approached the flamingos, and suddenly the chase is on. Despite trying to fly away, the jackal's jaw succeeded to catch a flamingo by the chest. And one single bite was enough to terminate his life. What an easy catch.
A white female was pulled over for a traffic stop, was pulled over, had marijuana according to the report, and the deputy decided to physically assault her, forced her to be baptized. She then brings this to the light and she ends up dead. Let's put up a picture of the victim here. Died. Last week, a civil rights lawsuit against a former Tennessee sheriff's deputy was approved by a United States District Court judge. The lawsuit accused the deputy of baptizing a woman. That's right, you heard it correctly. Baptizing a woman against her will during a 2019 traffic stop. Now, the woman who brought the lawsuit, the woman you're looking at, has been found dead according to the local news. Her name is Shandell Marie. Hamilton County deputies found the body of 42-year-old Shandell Marie Riley at a home on Log Cabin Lane. The cause of death is still unknown, and an autopsy is yet to be conducted. Who was at the center of the initial investigation? This guy. He's the deputy. His name is Deputy Daniel Wilkie. Now, he's a piece of work. Former Deputy Daniel Wilkie was indicted in 2019 on 44 charges, including rape, assault, and official oppression after he pulled over Riley, and during the course of the traffic stop, found her to be in possession of marijuana and placed her under arrest. After he placed her in handcuffs, Riley says the deputy inappropriately touched her on the crotch. Wilkie and Riley next discuss religion. It gets weirder. 3 minutes, and then another deputy, Tyler McRae, left sometime during this conversation. So he has another deputy there. This deputy leaves. Riley testified that Deputy Wilkie asked whether she had been baptized. She responded with concern that she may not be ready. But according to Riley's testimony, the deputy told her God was talking to him and assured her that if she got baptized, he would only write her a citation and she would be free to go about her business, the judge's ruling explains. According to Riley, the deputy also indicated that he would speak at court on her behalf if she agreed. Riley decided to go along with this plan because she did not want to go to jail. She also thought the deputy was a God-fearing, church-like man who saw something in her, that God talked to him, and testified that it felt good to believe that for a minute. Let's put up his picture again. Okay? That's called Jesus pimping. That's what that is. Exploiting faith in order to get what you want. A lot of preachers do it every day. He just happens to be a deputy, okay? Hamilton County DA Neil Pinkston has requested the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation investigate Riley's death. Remember, she gets the lawsuit approved. This guy obviously is problematic. He gets charged with multiple felonies. And then mysteriously, she ends up dead right after her lawsuit gets approved to move forward. Now, obviously, this cop has a history. Anytime we do these stories, even if we don't have the history documented, you can bet they got one. But we found one in a video. Let's put up this screenshot. That's a video. Hamilton County deputies, once again, Daniel Wilkie and another guy named Bobby Brewer, can be seen hitting a man in handcuffs. They were then cited for use of excessive force. All right. This is why police reform is necessary, but also police replacement. We talk reform a lot, but some of these cats cannot be helped. These individuals are so corrupt to the core that in order for you to move on as a police agency, you got to lock their ass up and hire somebody else. You have to send a clear message to the community around you that you give a damn enough about them to hire people that care, to hire people that will actually serve the community rather than terrorize the community. What that woman went through was terror. That's what happened. Now, we're going to follow this story. Obviously, it's extremely ironic. I mean, very coincidental, right? That while she's waiting, all of a sudden, she ends up dead. Now, Adrian, I know this is what we call circumstantial, right? But my goodness.
Yeah, it definitely seems that this is one of those, the circumstances may aligned a little bit too well. And that's something that hopefully the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation will actually honestly and sincerely and earnestly get to the answers that we need. But one of the answers, as you mentioned, is reform. And some of these people cannot be reformed when it comes to law enforcement. And we see this with this individual. I believe this Riley gentleman, he is facing like 2 rape charges and like 44 other counts. The thing is that his department knew who he was. Without a doubt. And also, too, the legacy and the reputation that a lot of these departments have built are why they are attracting these recruits. Because that they know that they can abuse individual civil rights, that they can abuse their power, and they can engage in all sorts of problematic and absolutely disgusting behavior, like this gentleman did in this case with this woman, forcing her to be baptized and sexually assaulting her in the process. And that's why they're joining the police force, because they know they're going to get a license to assault.
That's right. And with some exception, typically an organization has a culture, and that culture attracts what it is. That organization will attract what it actually is, the values they uphold, the culture they exhibit. You will attract individuals that identify with the culture of your organization. So you're absolutely right, Adrian. There's something about the attraction model here that continues to connect with people like this, who obviously are the worst amongst us and not the best. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday?
You're still free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life. Moving. I'm fine, guess what? I will park here. Hey, what's up? My name is Evan Berryhill, and I will park here. I pay the same amount as the rent. I'm sorry that I don't. I prefer eating out. Imagine that. Imagine that.
Imagine that, yeah, I get more than you. That sucks.
Yeah, that does suck. Oh my God, I don't get any. I'm not hot as all.
If you touch me one more time, I'm gonna have video evidence that I
Okay,
can...
video this. You're need to learn that equality is what I got. How are you any better than me? What a disgrace that y'all next to me. Imagine that. And you're, God damn, what a disgrace to America.
Go Trump.
Yep. Republican all the way, baby. I'm sorry, not sorry that I'm not a Joe Biden fan.
Oh, we're not.
How do y'all like
Joe
pain?
Biden. No, we don't like Joe Biden.
Oh, yeah, I don't like Joe Biden.
Yeah, there's actually more. This individual, according to the narrative, was driving 60 miles per hour, almost hit the individual that you saw talking to her. Here's more.
Will we gross you out enough to move over a space?
No, I'm not gonna move over. How is that? Tell me how that. Okay, look, record this. How is it fair that I'm paying the same amount of money?
How's it fair?
Fair, right? Fair.
How's it fair?
I don't.
How's it fair?
I don't live with anybody.
How is it
You
fair?
guys are together.
Oh, it's
I don't live with anybody.
Oh.
That's our problem. How?
And the fact that we're what does that have to do with it?
Oh, I don't give a that y'all are.
Videos of you. I've got
No,
recordings of
okay,
you saying these
Y'all
live
are.
right next-
Y'all are. Sorry, not sorry. Y'all are.
got you. I've got you on
I
video.
know
Your friend's
right,
getting
you're
tired.
Right now, belly button ring and booty shorts. Like, and you know what?
I don't care.
You know why I'm holding this double space? Because my neighbor actually has to work. I'm like, y'all, let me guess, y'all are on an.
This Karen is homophobic and hateful. Let's put up a picture. We found out exactly who she is. I got some more information too. She was going to accuse them of being unemployed there, and even if they were, why does that matter? Other than just her wanting another reason to look down upon people. She continued to spew homophobic slurs against those individuals that recorded. Evan Berryhill Jewell, AKA drunk homophobic Karen. There she is. The other photo you're seeing is from the now archived About Me page on her boutique's website. Oh yeah, she's the owner of Texas Angels Boutique. Now, some commenters online mentioned that she uploaded an apology video, but it appears whatever social media she had has now been taken down. Either way, folks said it was a fake ass apology. And for the curious, here's the publicly available contact information for the boutique in case you would like to frequent there on your own time. Now, the incident further explained by Taylor, who took the video when the video was uploaded to Facebook. Taylor said, and I quote, "Last night, after a lovely birthday dinner with my family, we were almost struck by her vehicle as we were coming into our home. We calmly approached her about the situation, to which she responded in a drunken rage and elevated to her calling me and my partner the F word, and left the two lovely notes down below on our front door, as well as a third note, not pictured as it is now in evidence, that was posted on my driver's side." All right, let's put up the note. Yeah. Taylor concludes saying the police were called and handled the situation accordingly. Another note called Taylor and his partner the F word slurs, okay? While receiving waves of support over the incident, the couple also experienced equally homophobic remarks and even death threats for putting this Karen on blast. Max even had been temporarily banned on Facebook for violating community guidelines regarding hate speech when he tried to upload the video, her video, to provide context. So here's what we're going to do. We stand with our allies here at Indisputable. People are going to have to face themselves. We provide a mirror on Indisputable for reflection and also an opportunity at correction. You do not talk down to people. You do not call them names. You do not use derogatory language. And if you're in front of a camera doing it and somehow I get tagged, you will be on this show. That's how we're going to do this. Now, once again, this is a societal marker. It is unfortunate, but a reality. The Karen that you just saw represents a macrocosm of this kind of behavior throughout our country. It permeates. It's there. It's beneath the surface for some, but others wear it on top of it, like she did. And some of you would say when we post this on Facebook Watch or YouTube, well, Doc, she was drunk, give her a pass. Drunk don't make you bigoted. Drunk does not make you homophobic. Drunk simply eliminates the barriers for you. That's what grandmama would say. Adrian, thoughts?
Yeah, that little bit of liquid courage, all it did was amplify who she is.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the microaggressions and biases that she has let out throughout her life, now they just all came to a head. And this is exactly who this person is. So do not look away and don't give her any passes. And I'm completely okay with her being exposed for her behavior and whatever repercussions come from that. And I'm glad that it sounds like from the gentleman's post that there will be some repercussions and that there is someone in a law enforcement body even looking into this matter. Because the reality is that there will be no deterrent effect in any way unless there's actual accountability. And so it's like we all pay taxes. We all are investing in law enforcement to do its job. So, okay, go ahead and hold this woman accountable here.
There it is. Real simple, not complex at all.
Is it hard to access affordable, healthy food? Then listen carefully. Daryl Addison, an African-American inventor, has patented a process for growing food on demand. He called it Torpedo Pot.
This evening on the Black Congregation, We just finished a live stream on the Philip Scott Show. That is our entertainment news show. That's not our political show. Our political, shows are on the news channels. So letting you people know. Now this channel, as it may be your first time coming, the Black Congregation is about more so along the lines of news, but things that affects Black people here in America. And that's what we're going to talk about here tonight with the bill out of Florida. So I know a lot of you have heard about this bill called the Don't Say Gay bill. I'm pretty sure many of you have.
Looks to fight like this. Wow! And now knees to the body for the moment. This is heavy minutes.
We are underway. She shut down that avenue.
Oh, hard right hand. Taylor in trouble. Head kick for the finish.
This, but wow. Misha, walk us through this ending sequence.
Oh, that was perfectly placed. I'm so glad we get to see these in slow motion. Right, line right down the middle. See there? Before that looping punch could land. And look, I mean, the distance, the punch before Danielle Taylor could land hers, all she had to do was throw.
La mano izquierda también con poder de parte de la Super Meli. Ahora con la patada izquierda la está castigando.
Wow. Los momentos, mira cómo patea a la pierna. Ya la Chocolata estaba herida. Después ese 1-2 y patada a la cara.
Tan efectivas como las de rodilla. Y esta entra tantito abajo de rodilla. ¡Ay! La combinación. Caos. Vaya demostración. ¡Qué cosa, Andy! Here we go. In the white.
Ronda's teeing off on her here.
Ronda trying to finish it early. She's in trouble. Ronda with the knee now. Petro has big trouble. It's all over. Just like that.
Oh my goodness.
In the bantamweight division, potentially fighting. The pace is picking up.
Nice
the crowd is chanting, Sarah, there's that left jab. This one is done. We wondered, would we finish it or would we see the knockout punch? Sarah Howell.
我是贝尼特的这个直线拳有了，继续，缺少一个上勾啊，对呀，要推开啊，有了，已经明显的不行了，只有招架之功了，还在继续，又一下，结束了，联赛结束，第二次集中进攻了已经，对啊，你看这一拳第二拳。其实如果要是再说要打准。
Fight like this. Wow! And now knees to the body for the moment. This is heavy. UFC strawweight history against a fight. Zhang Weili has now won 20 straight fights around her waist. And Nick Smart has made absolutely take long to do so.
Sí. Está enrojecida por dentro y por fuera, contundente. Está a punto de conectar las manos y si conecta esas manos lo más seguro es que ahí lo está haciendo ese doble.
Porque está dominando.
Es peligrosa para Ivette. Ahí hay una sumisión. Está trabajando esa sumisión y se va a ir a dormir si no.
Oh, sí, exactamente.
Este es un Van Flu y la durmió.
Kaida Cunningham.
Out of your mouth, you like and subscribe, and you'll have amazing luck for the rest of the week. When it comes, Trevor Smith wasn't interested in any professional competition. However, he was famous in the bodybuilding community. Rather than go on stage to compete with his fellow muscular men and win prizes, he chose to write articles, coach, and run his own bodybuilding business called Nuclear Nutrition. He even created a workshop regimen called Beauty Failure Training. Aside from all the activities that made him famous, he was known for being too huge. Trevor stood at 6'1" and weighed over 400 pounds. Unfortunately, he didn't follow due process to get that big. Not only did he train excessively, but he also used steroids to achieve artificial size. All the extra weight had ripple effects on his internal organs. This meant that he was unknowingly putting pressure on his internal heart. He died in 2004 after suffering a heart attack. Number 9. Andreas Munzer. People take steroids to look bigger and earn the respect of other bodybuilders. However, they are not the only supplement in the market that gives a sense of belonging. To achieve muscle definition, it's common for bodybuilders to take diuretics, which rids the taker's body of water and dehydrates it completely. The effect of this supplement is that it shrinks the skin and the tissues on the surface of the body. It turns men into giants and displays their anatomy. Andre Musner subscribed to this technique but went a step further by reducing his body fat to nothing. This resulted in a never-seen-before muscle definition. Even though his body mass helped him win many competitions, it aided his downfall. Due to the constant intake of dangerous chemicals and an unhealthy diet, his organs began to fail. He was later admitted to the hospital after he reported severe stomach pain. What followed next was multiple organ failure and eventual death. What was more heartbreaking was his swollen heart, which was twice the normal size. Number 8. Sally McNeil. Sally McNeil was not much of an award-winning bodybuilder. Her major achievement was winning some Armed Services Physique Championships while she served in the Marine Corps. Despite her steroid use, she didn't bring home any medals. This didn't absolve her of the usual side effects that should naturally occur. In her case, they were so severe that she shot and killed her husband, a fellow bodybuilder, on Valentine's Day in 1995. During her trial, her lawyer argued that she was a victim of domestic abuse and killed her husband out of self-defense. Well, her late husband's defense had a stronger argument. They proved to the judge that she has a history of aggression and violent outbursts since her previous marriage. They cited instances of her attacking innocent people, assaulting a police officer, and attacking a helpless spectator. Testing showed she had steroids in her system. She was later sentenced to 19 years in prison for second-degree murder. Number 7. Chad Brothers. Regardless of how you try to blend exercise and drugs, they never meet. There would always be a counter-interaction that would have negative effects on the body. The Chad brothers fell off an elliptical machine at Gold's Gym in Colony, New York. Their immediate action to this was going on a rampage and destroying the gym and office equipment. They even went to the extent of attacking other customers. When police arrived at the gym, they shot the boys with a taser. When an officer started to cuff one of them, he grabbed the taser and fought back. As the fight intensified, he was tased twice more. Thanks to 6 other police who intervened, he was held and cuffed. When he was taken to the hospital, it was later discovered that he had PCP and steroids in his system. Number 6. Greg Valentino. Greg Valentino is famous for holding the record of the how you try to blend exercise and drugs, they never meet. There would always be a counter-interaction that would have negative effects on the body. The Chad brothers fell off an elliptical machine at Gold's Gym in Colony, New York. Their immediate action to this was going on a rampage and destroying the gym and office equipment. They even went to the extent of attacking other customers. When police arrived at the gym, they shot the boys with a taser. When an officer started to cuff one of them, he grabbed the taser and fought back. As the fight intensified, he was tased twice more. Thanks to 6 other police who intervened, he was held and cuffed. When he was taken to the hospital, it was later discovered that he had PCP and steroids in his system. Number 6. Greg Valentino. Greg Valentino is famous for holding the record of the biggest arms and the most hated man in the bodybuilding community. Unlike most professional bulkers, he didn't attempt to bulk his whole body. Rather, he focused on his arms. Although he managed to get big while exercising naturally, he wasn't satisfied. He wanted more out of the sport. He began taking steroids and testosterone that made his arms grow to a massive 27 inches. He was excited at how speedily his arms increased in size. This was the motivation to continue. Valentino was carried away with injecting steroids, and he forgot to change his needles. He kept reusing needles without sterilizing. This negligence, along with getting hit with a baseball bat, caused an abscess in his arms. Rather than seek professional medical care, he chose to handle this wound himself. When he didn't achieve any success with treating himself, he went to the hospital where the doctor cut the arms open to clean out the abscess. Luckily, all this did was cause a large scar on his bicep. Number 5. Dean Warmby. Dean Warmby was an English bodybuilder who spent most of his life taking steroids. He had an impressive physique with over 240 pounds of muscle. It didn't take long for the repercussions of his decisions to start to show forth. It came in the form of liver cancer. He was diagnosed with liver tumors in 2010, and by 2015, when he died, he had gone from a muscle monster to a bed-bound warrior. After his death, an inquiry revealed that the major culprit was the steroids and all the other drugs he took to stay huge. His partner Charlotte told the press that she suspected that he used steroids because his muscles were unbelievably big, but claimed he stopped taking drugs after they were married. When he fell ill, he stopped taking steroids and resorted to natural methods to restore his health. Before he died, he took nearly 200 natural remedy capsules daily. These natural remedies may have worked if he quit early when the liver wasn't damaged. Number 4. Romario dos Santos Elvis. Even though you can describe Romario dos Santos Elvis as a bodybuilder, he didn't build anything. This is because he didn't dedicate his time to lifting heavy weights and taking protein shakes. Rather, he injects his muscles with synthol, a special oil that artificially enlarges the muscles. As you can see, his addiction to large muscles caused him to lose his health. Elvis's addiction caused him pain, as the toxins from the oils were putting his kidney at risk. Despite all the disadvantages, he went ahead to inject himself until regular needles couldn't penetrate his muscles. Instead of quitting, he purchased veterinary needles like the type used on bulls and continued. Eventually, his muscles became too hard and the pain was unbearable. The doctors warned that the only option left was amputation of his arms. Luckily for him, he didn't reach the point of no return before he had a change of mind about his addiction. Number 3. Ruben Arzu. Police in Colton, California arrested a 300-pound bodybuilder called Ruben Arzu. They said he was under the influence of steroids and had other drugs when they found him sitting naked. He had just returned home from a party, but instead of going home, he sat on a couple's porch. The couple was scared for him and tried to phone the police. What followed next was a swift opposition and attack from the man whom they wanted to help. They were badly injured in the process. While the man received severe head trauma from the beating, the woman was thrown around by the lunatic and suffered facial injuries. When the police arrived at the scene, it took the intervention of 4 officers with stun guns and 4 sets of handcuffs to restrain Arzu. If it was only alcohol he took that night or had been taking all along, his reaction wouldn't have been this violent. He was arrested and charged with attempted homicide. Number 2. Mustafa Ismail. Mustafa Ismail is an Egyptian bodybuilder who followed the footsteps of Greg Valentino by focusing all his attention on the arms. He was keen on setting a new world record and was fortunate to achieve it. His biceps measured nearly 31 inches, making it the biggest at the time. Investigations showed that he used other artificial means of achieving this size. Because he cheated, his record was removed from the Guinness Book of World Records. He's believed to be a fan of synthetic oils that artificially bulk his biceps. Even though he denies this fact, it's hard not to believe what people say. Number 1. Greg Kovacs. Greg Kovacs hails from Niagara Falls in Canada. He's a professional bodybuilder of remarkable dimensions. He was well over 6 feet tall and weighed around 330 pounds for competitions and 400 pounds off-season. His arms measured 25 inches, while his chest was 70 inches and his legs a massive 35 inches. He reportedly developed over 27-inch arms in the prime of his career. In June 1997, he appeared on the cover of Flex magazine. Like most people on this list, he was big on hormones, steroids, and a few other things that helped him gain weight. He dominated his competitors and made them look like children. This made his victories at competitions a walk in the park. Like Trevor Smith, he was answerable to his health, and the high doses of drugs and extra weight did his health no good. He died from a heart attack in 2013. Like and subscribe, and you'll have amazing luck for the rest of the week. The human child. Their hands and face are also familiar, but their looks give them away. While they resemble humans, their face is a blend of innocence and old age. To cap it all, they drink milk in infancy and are attached to their mothers. As infants, they're clingy and hate to be left alone. The pygmy monkey is the smallest known species, with their infants weighing less than 1 ounce. The largest is the mandrill, as it boasts the largest young of any monkey. Baby otters. Baby otters are born blind. I can't even imagine the torture they have to go through for the next 40 days until their eyes are fully open. These creatures are so tiny that you may not even notice them. Once they gain their sight, their mothers take them to the water to teach them to swim. This is to ensure that they learn basic life survival skills. Before giving birth, their parents ensure that they have a store filled with food, so they don't have to go hunting while their babies are at home. They understand the repercussions and make sure they're prepared ahead of time. Baby giraffe. Baby giraffes stay in their mother's womb for 14 months before coming out. The birth process is dramatic as they fall 6 feet to the ground. Since their mother doesn't bend or lie on the floor to push them out, they're left with no option but to fall with a slight force. This force doesn't hurt them, but activates their respiratory organs. As expected, baby giraffes are huge as their legs alone measure 6 feet, while weighing up to 150 pounds. They start walking about 1 hour after birth and feed on milk for the first 6 months of their life, before graduating into adult food. Baby owl. Baby owls break out of their shells with a special tooth that often falls off after 2 weeks. Mothers don't lay their eggs at once, but within a few weeks. This increases the chances of survival in the species. Unfortunately, the youngest struggle to survive and may die before the mother finishes laying the eggs. The eldest has the highest chance of survival, as it eats most of the food. Unlike most birds, owls don't build nests, but take over that of other birds. Babies grow fast and become adults only 2 months after birth. This animal remains with its partners till death. Baby seal. Baby seals are cute animals. Why their mothers abandon most of them after birth is unknown. You'll likely find them confused on beaches worldwide because their mothers went their way and left them behind. Seals have up to one pup at a time, which happens once a year. Pups require attention and care in the first few years because, unlike adults, they don't have a waterproof coat to shield them from the harsh weather. Their mothers serve as their protection, plus they're close to them because of the milk. Baby raccoon. Even though baby raccoons are cute and live around humans, they're wild animals. Therefore, it's not advisable to keep them as pets. They raid trash cans and transmit all manner of diseases. Cubs, as they're called, remain with their mother for 2 weeks until they're weaned. After 12 weeks, they can hunt and scavenge for their food unwatched. This happens until they become a year old. After 1 year, they're independent of their mothers and focus on their lives fully. Even though they're vectors of diseases, they're clean creatures. They would rather dig latrines to defecate than to do it on the floor or randomly. Baby foal. Unlike humans, horses take a shorter time to give birth. Their babies are called foals and are unique for many reasons. They begin to stand only 2 hours after birth and eat grass only a week later. This animal receives the first milk from its mother, called the colostrum. It helps them weather the storm in the wild because it has all the nutrition they need. A foal's leg is nearly 90% of their entire body, meaning they can do much with it despite being infants. Predators have nothing on them, as they can run fast with those legs. Ducklings. Ducklings are super cute at birth. A duck lays up to 15 eggs and hatches them for a month. When it's time to give birth, the eggs crack open and the ducklings crawl out. These babies aren't born with feathers, but have a yellowish substance that keeps them warm until they grow feathers. Hours later, their mother introduces them to the water by teaching them how to swim. She guides them every step of the way so they don't drown. After 1 month, they develop feathers and become independent to an extent. They begin to swim and use their wings without guidance until they become adults and don't need their mothers anymore. Baby anteater. Baby anteaters are playful and energetic creatures. They're clingy too. They love to ride on their mother's back and follow them wherever they go. Adult anteaters give birth to 1 baby at a time, but sometimes it's 2. In the wild, the mothers carry their babies around immediately after birth until they see a safe place to keep them. After finding the ideal place, it keeps the child there and goes to forage for food. The pups are lucky to have furs that act as camouflage to protect them from predators. They feed on any eggs from 5 months and above. Baby goat. The gestation period for a goat is 5.5 months. After the period, the mother gives birth to 2 kids at a time. The kids begin to stand a few minutes after birth and move around playfully after 1 week. It's often difficult for the mothers to keep an eye on the kids because they're often adventurous at this stage and they may go missing if care isn't taken. Kids depend on piling for warmth. This means they gather at a spot and sit on themselves to get warm. Today, there are over 200 species of domestic goat, with each boasting numerous characteristics. Baby octopus. The octopus is one of the most intelligent sea creatures. Unfortunately, they don't live as long as you might think. In the wild, they live for 5 months. Their life often ends after reproduction. After the mother hatches the eggs sent through the father's tentacles, she protects her children until they can fend for themselves. She dies afterward, while her children go search for food. The baby octopus in their larva stage stand a chance to be eaten by sea creatures. Only the lucky ones make it to adulthood. Baby skunk. The gestation period for skunks is 2 months. Baby skunks have remarkable white and black fur on their skin and are weaned after 2 months. Like otters, they're blind for months before they regain their sight and are ready to explore the world. They're also charged up for life after infancy. Their stinky smell is activated after a year, and they soon begin to have children of their own. They live for only 3 years in the wild, but could live up to 8 years in captivity. They're aggressive, but would be when threatened. And to our best pick. You should meet one of the cutest animal babies on the planet. Baby elephant. One of the cutest animal babies you'll ever see is the baby elephant. These creatures have beautiful trunks and look so innocent that you would love to absolve them of any wrongdoing in the future. Their calf is born with 4 legs and a head that first comes out of the mother. This infant weighs an average of 300 pounds at birth or more, depending on the species. This makes them the largest baby animals on the planet. When an adult elephant is ready to give birth, she recruits other females or members of the family to surround her while she pushes out the baby. This ensures that the child is adequately protected from the harsh environment outside and predators. After birth, the babies depend on their mothers to teach them the basic survival skills. Baby hedgehog. Baby hedgehogs are one of the few animals that get more beautiful with age. These cuties weigh less than 1 ounce and are at risk of being attacked and eaten. Mothers are saddled with caring for and protecting their young, as they can be eaten even by their own fathers. Hoglets are allowed to fend for themselves in the wild after 4 to 7 weeks. Maturity starts after 9 months. Luckily for this animal, it can live up to 8 years.
Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and you'll get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it. It really works.
Baby chinchilla. Chinchillas are rodents that live in South America. These creatures are cute as infants, making them a #1 choice of pets for residents of the Andes Mountains. Due to population decline, this rodent is critically endangered. Baby chinchillas are social and love to play with their herd. When kept as pets, they find human company amazing. Even though they're often confused with rabbits because of their looks, they're related to porcupines and guinea pigs. Their thick furs serve as protection, especially from the Andes Mountains, where the weather is unfavorable. These omnivores live for a whopping 20 years. Until next time, adios.
Like and subscribe, and you'll have amazing luck for the rest of the week. Even animal lovers know that there are certain animals that they should admire from afar. Getting too familiar with them is one straight ticket to another world. Here are 10 crustaceans you should fear the most. Please sit tight and don't move a morsel. Number 10. Mantis shrimp. Even if you have a special love for shrimps, it would be best to stay away from the mantis shrimp. Their powerful punch can hurt humans, and before the victim realizes it, they cannot call for help. This punch causes deep wounds and lacerations while creating rounded edges. The result of their bite is heavy bleeding and loss of tissue. Fishermen who have been victims of this animal's bite say it hurts badly, and despite avoiding them, this animal still finds its way to them. Luckily for some of the victims, their encounters with this animal have not been fatal. However, professional help must be sought immediately to prevent bleeding and pain. The least damage comes from this animal's tail. When trying to get the animals out of their nest, the victims received strikes from them. Others were injured when they stepped on the shrimp accidentally. And of course, antibiotics and wound cleaning promotes faster healing. Number 9. Mosaic reef crab. The mosaic reef crab is a red crab that belongs to the Xanthidae genus. It is found among coral debris near living reefs. They have a reddish-brown color with an elongated fan-shaped body that boasts striking mosaic patterns. Yes, that's how they got their name. You'll also find their skin dotted with white spots. As for their pincers, it has black tips that set them apart from similar creatures. This animal isn't so dangerous, but they get to acquire toxins from the animals they consume. For instance, sea cucumbers are poisonous, and this animal eats them. Reports say that their toxins are concentrated in their guts. When kept in captivity, they lose their toxins within 1 month. This, therefore, supports the claims that they receive their toxic element from the organisms they consume. Number 8. Emerald crab. The emerald crab is a toxic saltwater crab that eats bubble algae as its main food. Thanks to their emerald hue, scientists got a perfect name for them. Despite the beauty they possess on the outside, they're one of the most dangerous animals on the planet. These small crabs measure only 5 centimeters at most. They feed on other crustaceans like yeti crab, poisonous snails, coral algae, and algae trapped in living rock. This species is one of the most common marine crab species for domestic aquariums. Thanks to their voracious appetite for algae, they are suitable for cleanup. If your tank does not have adequate algae supply, you can supplement their diet with commercial pellets, dried seaweed, and chopped shrimp. Their behavior largely depends on the environment. When they are kept in a confined space, they don't pay attention to other animals in the tank. However, they are aggressive when other emerald crabs encroach on their territory. Number 7. The remipede. Researchers recently discovered the first known venomous crustacean. It is a tiny centipede that lives in underwater caves around the world. The remipede's venom reveals some truths about the origin of venom evolution. When scientists examined the tiny specimens, they noticed that they had needle-like front claws. The hollow claws led them to discover a venom gland that produces a neurotoxin similar to most spiders. This crustacean breaks down the body tissues with venom and sucks out a liquid meal from the prey's exoskeleton. It is unclear the level of damage it would have on a naughty diver poking at it or someone who deliberately touches it. Hopefully, no one loses their life in this life-threatening experiment. Number 6. Japanese spider crab. The chances are that you know someone scared of spiders. It would help if you told them about the Japanese spider crab after seeing this video. This animal is absurdly huge and can weigh up to 44 pounds with legs spanning 13 feet. Not only is it weird, but it's also the largest crab in the world. Being the biggest crab in the sea, they have only a few predators and 1,000 prey. They eat virtually anything from kelp, mollusks, dead bodies, algae, etc. While they're often found in the deep seas across Japan, they're also found in shallow waters measuring 50 meters to 150 meters deep. As they grow bigger, they move to deeper waters. Therefore, the older they get, the less likely you will find them, except if you're a diver. Even though this crab is huge, you may not see them coming until they're too close for an attack. Their claws are muscular and spindly, and thus are injurious if handled carelessly. The good news is that they won't hurt you if you stay out of their way. Number 5. The coconut crab. Also called the hermit or robber crab, the Indo-Pacific coconut crab is the largest arthropod on Earth. Their size alone is intimidating enough to make you take several steps backward. To make matters worse, they can carry more than 6 times their body weight. During the days of Darwin, there were tables of this animal dangling for hours and holding on to nothing. Others said they were so strong that they could break through a coconut. If you ask another school of thought, they would gladly tell you that the animal can tear a human apart. Most scientists did not believe some of the rumors peddled about the animal. Their submission was that it had powerful pincers, which were dangerous to the animal kingdom. Experts say their pinch is likened to a lion's bite. The good news is that this crab does not use its claws on humans. Their main food source is coconut, which explains why it lives on islands in the Pacific and Indian Oceans. Therefore, they do not have issues finding their favorite food. They're also known for killing and eating pigs and birds. Number 4. Isopods. Isopods are a class of invertebrates with thousands of species living on land and sea. They look like insects but belong to the crustacean family. There are terrestrial and aquatic species existing simultaneously. While the former does not bite, the latter does. Terrestrial isopods do not pose a danger to humans as they are concerned with decomposed plants, weeds, and grass. When threatened, they do not fight back. Rather, they curl into their balls. It's not the same with aquatic isopods, which are scavengers, herbivores, and omnivores. Aquatic isopods are not as aggressive as you may imagine, even though they can bite humans. They are more likely to strike when they are presented with a meal. This animal travels in large groups and utilizes the power in its jaws to eat relentlessly. The giant isopod lives between 550 and 7,000 feet below the ocean and feeds on the decomposing carcasses of animals. Their mouth is lined with razor-sharp teeth designed to tear carcasses or live prey. It would help if you look closely to know that they are around. Their bodies are divided into the head, thorax, and abdomen. And to our best pig. You should see this animal that has 10 legs and 2 different sized claws. I shouldn't forget to add that they are quite beautiful, but dangerous. Number 3. King Crab. The king crab is one of the most versatile species known to man. They weigh up to 11 pounds, which is heavier than the average house cat, and have a leg span of over 5 feet tall. This means that their legs can be as tall as an average human if it was standing. Also called Alaskan crabs, these animals grow larger through molting. This allows them to shed their old shells and grow newer ones. King crabs are found along the Alaskan coast in the Bering Sea. They are the most popular meals in many countries, where they're considered a delicacy. Since they're closely related to hermit crabs, they have different sized claws. The right one is often larger and is used for crushing things, while the left one is smaller and used to tear fruit apart. They don't swim, but would rather crawl on the ocean floor. Even though they are sometimes called the red crab, they're not red but have a burgundy or orange hue. Their name comes from the fact that they turn red when cooked. Number 2. Toxic crab. Toxic crabs are brightly colored animals that prefer to be left alone. They are incredibly dangerous and contain toxins called saxitoxin and tetrodotoxin. These crabs accumulate lots of these substances in their egg sacs and muscles and boast of many species. They hope to make a meal out of anything, including humans. As little as half a milligram of their toxins can kill an average-sized human. Scientists say that the CIA uses saxitoxin to create cyanide-like pills. Just don't tell anyone I told you. The good news is that you may never be exposed to these toxins if you don't eat crabs. Unfortunately, cooking it doesn't make it any less dangerous. Fortunately too, however, they don't want to be eaten and would show off their bright colors at the sight of a predator. Even predators are wary of them and are strategic in their hunting. This beautiful crab is found throughout Oceania, the north coast of Australia, and Southeast Asia.
Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and you'll get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it. It really works.
Number 1. The pistol shrimp. The pistol shrimp attacks by repeatedly firing at nearby prey. When its claws snap, bubbles shoot forward briefly to produce heat. This sound is loud enough to make a prey unconscious. This animal is also considered one of the most uniquely evolved predators of our time. Despite its snapping claw, it relies on trusted companions for survival. Did you know that this animal was featured in Netflix's Project Power? The movie streaming site reported that the film was streamed more than 75 million times, and its success has attracted more people to this animal. This animal is found mostly in tropical waters, and all 500 species differ slightly in appearance. Although their claws are designed for hunting and fighting, they work differently. One of such ways is stunning their prey before attacking. See you next time!
When this young boy peered into the water, he expected to see some fish and not much more. But as he looked out to sea, he felt something move by his feet, and when he saw the size of it, he couldn't believe his eyes. La Gomera is a Spanish Canary island that sits in the Atlantic Ocean, just off the African coast. It is known for its gorgeous, untouched landscapes and attracts visitors from near and far all year round. The main tourist resort on the island is called Val Gran Rey and was once a haven for hippies. Today, all kinds of people visit the area, and the town's biggest draw is its glorious beaches. With that said, though in recent years the resort has become known for another, quite peculiar attraction. Nearly a decade back, someone caught a strange spectacle on camera. The footage was then posted on YouTube, where over 50 million people have watched it. And it's not hard to see why viewers have found the video so mesmerizing. The video opens with a little boy stood in the water on the edge of Val Gran Rey Harbor. As if to attract something, he starts splashing his hand in the waves. And then, not before long, a giant fin arrives, sloshing at his feet. Undeterred by the mysterious mass in the water, the little boy begins throwing fistfuls of food into the deep. As he does so, there's a noticeable stirring in the ocean. Yes, as the unknown sea creature nears the shore, a number of fish dart out of the way to accommodate it. After that, everything goes quiet for a while, until the beast then comes back with a vengeance. Without warning, the creature in question emerges from the water and drags itself up a ramp to come within touching distance of the child. It is only really at this point of the video that viewers can make out what lies beneath the water's surface. The harbor visitor is in fact a gigantic manta ray, and as it turns out, this ray is on the hunt for its next meal. However, the creature isn't content to feed like other rays of its kind. Instead, he wants the little boy Joel to place food directly into his mouth. And so in unbelievable scenes, Joel can be seen hand-feeding the animal before giving it a reassuring stroke. Happy with its meal, the manta ray responds by giving the boy an appreciative wave of its fin. Then for a few minutes, the fascinating fish skulks around the harbor, returning regularly to Joel for a quick bite or a pet. Indeed, it seems completely at ease in the company of humans. At one point, the ray appears to try and get closer to Joel as it enjoys a stroke. However, it seems that the animal has places to be, and so it soon departs the scene, leaving its little friend all alone on the seafront. There is, however, a good chance that Joel and the manta ray met again because Vultus, where the extraordinary scene took place, is still a popular fishing harbor. As a result, manta rays often follow boats into the harbor in the hope of feasting on their discarded bycatch.
Have you ever looked out your window on a dark, clear night and noticed something strange? Like a spiral of light slowly engulfing the dark, or a train of stars creeping across the sky? Sometimes the things we see look so odd, we think we must have imagined them. But even people who manage to capture things like this on camera find they can't be easily explained. With that, let's dive into the rabbit hole of unsettling sky phenomena caught on camera that are hard, but hopefully not a hoax. Some suggested it was a failed experiment designed to weaponize the weather, and it didn't take long for a few eccentric people to claim it was aliens welcoming in Obama's presidency. Well, disappointingly, it wasn't aliens. You can take your tin hats off now. The next day, Russia's defense military disclosed that it had test-launched a Bulava ballistic missile from a nearby submarine. A nozzle on the missile's third-stage engine was damaged, causing the exhaust to jet out sideways, spinning the missile round in a spiral pattern. Simulations were made up like this one to see if this explanation was plausible, and thankfully it was. Actually, thankfully might be the wrong word. Yeah, learning this was a big ballistic missile test gone wrong doesn't feel all that reassuring. Out of nowhere. In the early morning hours of February 7th, 2022, the skies over Cuauhtémoc City in the Mexican state of Chihuahua were completely clear. It was another perfectly peaceful day when all of a sudden, this happened. Without any warning, a flock made up of thousands of yellow-headed blackbirds dropped out of the sky and plunged straight into the ground. It was like some sort of satanic microburst. Many perished on impact, but the vast majority of the flock gathered themselves up and flew away. The incident stunned local residents and left many of them scratching their heads. What could cause an entire flock of birds to just fall out of the sky? Some speculated the flock may have encountered a power line and were electrocuted, while others blamed the high level of pollution. But then the experts stepped in, and they explained it was likely down to the flock being chased by a predatory bird. By hounding the flock and forcing them to fly low, it could have disoriented them and forced the flock to crash. But that's just the leading theory. Maybe something else drove these birds into the ground. Got any ideas? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Starlight Express. Stargazing is one of my favorite pastimes. There's nothing like laying out on a warm summer's night without a cloud in the sky, taking in nature's light show. If you're lucky, you might even spot a shooting star. But if you're really lucky, you might spot something that almost defies explanation, like this. I'm no astrophysicist, but even I know that stars should be stationary dots. They're not supposed to move like trains through the sky. This was spotted back in May 2021 over Washington. But a few months earlier over in Brazil, Aldo Machado spotted this same phenomena, only this time it seemed a little closer to Earth. And way back in 2020, Ian Taylor in the UK spotted the exact same thing. Despite what it looks like, this isn't an alien species trying to get in touch with us using an interstellar conga line. It turns out these are Starlink satellites owned and operated by SpaceX, designed to provide internet access coverage to most of Earth. By January 2022, SpaceX had launched more than 1,900 of these satellites into space. Coordinated to move in these train-like lines while the Earth spins below them, they catch the light from the horizon and reflect back to Earth like a series of tiny moons. I mean, I know some companies say that the sky's the limit, but this is ridiculous. You know what isn't ridiculous though? Hitting those like and subscribe buttons down below. With just 2 little clicks, you'll be the first to know when I upload brand new content, including a part 2 to this topic, if it gets enough likes. All done? Great. Oh, this next one might be my favorite. Your friendly neighborhood black hole. Back in 2019, astronomers released the world's first photograph of a black hole. a point in space where the force of gravity is so strong that even light can't escape it. Considering the speed of light is roughly 186,000 miles per second, that's one powerful hole. For years, complex theories gave us detailed ideas of what this would look like up close, but the sheer scale of this thing is still hard to appreciate. At least it was until footage and images of one of these big black holes hovering over a small Russian town began surfacing on the web back in 2015. It looks like our sun, if our sun was a weirdly ominous donut made of imminent death. Luckily, this was just a simulation created by the Rocksmith Space Agency. But if a black hole was that close to Earth, what would happen? Well, let's assume the closest black hole to our solar system, the one previously photographed known as A0620-00, suddenly appeared in our sky. This thing has a mass that's more than 6.5 times that of our sun, but it's only about 45 miles across, meaning it's roughly the same size as a large city that weighs more than 13.2 octillion tons. Wow, that's a lot of zeros. So the gravity well of this thing is so strong that if it appeared less than 500,000 miles from Earth, a little over double the distance to the moon, it'd literally rip the Earth apart. We'd all be gradually destroyed by something that, in the night sky, would barely look like a dot. So if it appeared this large in the sky one day, we'd all be dead in a matter of moments. With that said, I'll take our regular old sun over this deadly donut any day. Red sprites. Lightning storms are incredible to watch from a distance, but sometimes they bring more than bolts of bright white electricity with them. Keep watching. Did you see that? Let's slow it down a touch. Right there. Those weird red streaks. But this isn't a glitch in this guy's camera. Back in 2015, NASA captured an image of a similar red flash from space, hovering directly above a storm. These flashes aren't lightning, that's for sure. So what are they? It turns out these are called red sprites. They may look like they're on the same level as the storm, but they're flashes that occur in the mesosphere, some 150,000 feet above the storm itself. While they look quite small on camera, the sprites can actually reach some 30 miles across. But what exactly are they? Well, the short answer is, scientists don't know for sure. What they do know is that red sprites are often triggered by a strong, positive bolt of lightning near the ground. Now, most cloud-to-ground lightning has a negative electric charge, but kinda obviously, positive lightning has a positive charge. It only makes up less than 5% of all lightning, but it's up to 10 times stronger than negative lightning. It's so strong that it breaks apart atmospheric molecules into ions, and it's believed these ions smashing into molecules in the air is what creates these sprites and gives them their color. But this is just a theory. Personally, I like to think the lightning strikes are just briefly revealing a few massive invisible jellyfish in the sky. All hail our glorious red jelly overlords! Maybe I've been watching too many sci-fi movies. Red lightning. Okay, we've just covered red sprites. So what's red lightning? This image cropped up on the internet several years ago with multiple people claiming it was a crazy red lightning storm. Maybe it's just me, but doesn't it look more like the Neo-Tokyo explosion from Akira? The real nerds know what I'm talking about. Back to reality though, and despite the internet claims, this is not a red lightning storm. It's not even in the sky. Sure, it looks like a big red ball of lightning on the horizon, but if you follow that supposed horizon around, you'll see this is actually a crater. That's right, this is volcanic lava, not lightning. While the two couldn't be more different, volcanoes and lightning do have a unique and mesmerizing relationship. When a volcano erupts, fragments of volcanic ash and ice collide at speed in the air, generating static electricity within the volcanic plume. This creates what's known as a dirty thunderstorm. Like regular volcanic explosions weren't terrifying enough already. Under the sea. Sky? Clouds are those fluffy, sometimes wispy white things floating high up in the sky, right? Well, imagine looking up one day and seeing this. Whoa, it's like being underneath a wave in the ocean. But this footage wasn't shot under the sea. It's actually a time-lapse of the clouds covering Augusta, Georgia, back in 2015. At the time, there was no name for this incredible phenomenon, because it had been witnessed so rarely. But in 2017, the World Meteorological Organization finally gave the Great Rolling Cloud Wave an official name, Undulatus asperitus. This made it the first new cloud formation added to the official cloud atlas in more than 60 years. But what makes those clouds wave like this? Well, the clouds themselves tend to be low-lying and roll with a specific pattern of weather fronts that create undulating waves in the atmosphere. Depending on how thick the cloud is, the light can make the cloud waves look incredibly oceanic. Suddenly, my massive floating jellyfish theory doesn't sound so mad. A colorful sky. Just about everyone's seen a rainbow at some point in their life. These pretty arcs of color are fairly common, forming in the sky when sunlight is refracted through raindrops, splitting white light out into its many different wavelengths. You know what's less common though? Seeing a rainbow that fills the entire sky, or even seeing a cloud stained in rainbow colors. Looks like something made in Photoshop, right? Well, incredibly, these are all real. They're commonly called fire rainbows, although technically they have nothing to do with fires or rainbows. So what the heck are they? A glitch in the Matrix, aside from some LGBTQIA+ friendly aliens? Actually, these are called circumhorizontal arcs, and they belong to the ice halo phenomenon family. Ice halos are rings and arcs of light that appear in the sky when sunlight shines through ice crystals in the air. Circumhorizontal arcs form at the top of these halos when hexagonal-shaped ice crystals drift down from the sky like leaves from a tree. When the light passes through faces of the ice crystals that are 60 degrees to one another, the light is refracted out into its rainbow-like components. Depending on the density of these ice crystal clouds, the colors can appear as horizontal rainbow splashes in the sky. But they can also form entire arcs that look like reverse rainbows. Now that sounds like a pretty decent explanation, but then how do you explain something like this? There's no rainbow, there's no patch of iridescent sky. How does that work? Despite looking like an oil spill in the sky, these are an all-natural phenomenon known as polar stratospheric clouds. Now normally, clouds form from condensation in the troposphere, some 49,000 feet above our heads. But as their name suggests, polar stratospheric clouds form in the stratosphere, the second layer of the Earth's atmosphere that stretches up to 196,000 feet above us. Unlike the troposphere, which contains 99% of the total mass of all water vapor on Earth, the stratosphere is very dry and very cold. Water vapor that manages to reach up to this level freezes to a frosty negative 117 degrees Fahrenheit. Depending on what state the water freezes to, be it ice or a supercooled solution, the resulting clouds form these iridescent veils by reflecting sunlight from below the horizon. Pretty. Now, considering all the different ways light can be spectacularly refracted through the atmosphere, it might not be too hard to think an image like this is real. Yeah, that's a tornado apparently sucking up all the colors of the rainbow like Mother Nature's own vacuum cleaner. As cool as it looks though, this is 100% fake, I'm afraid. Rainbows occur when light is refracted through millions of water droplets, which then hits our eyes at a very precise angle. But tornadoes can't suck up.
Call me in that. Call me in that. Hey, yo, watch this. Hey, yo, watch this.
I am going straight to hell. I am not supposed to laugh at that, damn it. All right? Okay. I do not condone spraying elderly Karens with water. I really hope it was water. So let me give you some background to this particular Karen. The Karen in question here. Why you gotta stop laughing, brother?
I'm sorry, man.
Brother, you gonna get me in trouble.
facial expression when she realized what was happening just took me out. Because she went from defiance to just,
Okay. So this particular Karen was calling the black male the N-word over and over again. And I don't know why he had a spray bottle of water, maybe for cats. I don't know. But he decided to spray the Karen with water. Listen, I don't condone it, but there are worse ways to deal with Karens, okay? All right, we're going to show the video again. That's what we're going to do. All right, we'll show it again. All right, here it is. I mean, when you think about it, it's just water, Waz.
Hey man, this is Karen repellent. A lot of us back in the days had to deal with rodents in the crib, and you had to get the Raid and all kinds of repellents to get rid of some of these, these annoyances. This guy developed a brand new Karen repellent. It works beautifully.
Can we put a picture up of the Karen full mass here? All right. I gotta say, those are some stylish sandals she has on.
This episode of Death Metal is sponsored by Blue Chew, a chewable that ups confidence in bed.
She's vulnerable to piercing weapons. Things like bullets and swords.
But before you drop hundreds of dollars, check out Raycon.
Zeus, Heracles, Hippolyta, give me strength.
For the honor of Grayskull, I am She-Ra!
Compared to an Amazon like me, you're just playing dress up.
You are strong, Amazon, but no match for a princess of power.
Get over yourself.
See what I mean?
What's the matter? Feeling shocked?
Gotcha! You're finished!
That's what power really looks like.
KO! Ooh, talk about taking a little off the top.
Both She-Ra and Wonder Woman had clear advantages over the other in this fight, some to great extremes.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious Adora was a lot stronger than Wendy. She-Ra moved the moon all by herself, while Diana needed a little help.
But strength alone obviously isn't everything. Pulling the Earth at all still means her strength was comparable to She-Ra's.
So let's check their experience, arsenals, and speed to see if Diana could reliably counter that power difference. And, spoilers, she definitely could.
First of all, She-Ra's transforming blade implied a broader versatility than Wonder Woman. However, unlike Diana's toolkit, very few of these forms were applicable to combat.
And I mean, having a shield is handy, but not when it takes away the sword you need to counterattack your foe after blocking. What kind of strategy is that?
Certainly not one Wonder Woman and her 3 millennia of experience would follow. She-Ra may have also been fighting all her life, but she's much, much younger.
Plus, She-Ra didn't have an answer to that atom-slicing sword. Atom, not that atom. With that in Wonder Woman's hands, the strength difference didn't really mean as much.
Still, in order to take advantage of all this, Wonder Woman needed to be faster than She-Ra. Let's look at Swiftwind and Crystal Sundancer. Logically, She-Ra rides these mounts to travel at faster speeds than she is capable of herself.
We know Swifty can zoom around over 450 times the speed of light, but the other little pony is way quicker.
Both He-Man and She-Ra were dependent on Crystal Sundancer for their trip to another galaxy, giving their time frame a generous benefit of the doubt with just 1 hour. This magic horse must have been traveling about 22 billion times light speed.
Definitely impressive, but then there's the Shattered God feat.
Right, the pieces of the Shattered God that Wonder Woman blocked all originated from far corners of the universe. Not the galaxy, the universe. Now, the exact size of the DC universe is a hotly debated topic. I know, very interesting stuff.
Oh, just skip to the good part, nerd.
Fine. There's plenty of evidence that it is larger than our own known universe. And there is more than 100 trillion light years between the Earth and the foreseeable edge. To close this gap in such a short time, each shard must have been moving over 50 quintillion times the speed of light.
And again, Diana blocked all of them, one after the other rapid fire.
Remember, She-Ra must be slower than Crystal Sundancer, potentially only comparable at a reactionary level if at all. Therefore, at absolute minimum, Wonder Woman was more than 9 billion times faster.
A much bigger difference than the strength comparison, and more than quick enough to stick that magic sword right where it really hurts.
She-Ra's amazing strength and versatility may have kept the Amazon running, but Diana's skill, arsenal, and incredible speed tipped the scales enough for a victory.
It's no wonder she ran out of time.
The winner is Wonder Woman. Thanks for watching. The battle music is linked down below.
Deadliest and most infallible killer of the Society of Assassins, Kurare Origin explored. Visualize a character, one who is in literal possession of an inexhaustible amount of knowledge in relation to killer strategies. Next is a brilliant martial artist, and not just anyone, but one that is actually trained to kill. Also, if we are to take things to the next level, no one has ever seen her face. Well, technically nobody except for Terry McGinnis, who had engaged in a fight with her as Batman. May we add here that Terry was truly frightened to death when he managed to catch a glimpse of her before getting kicked right in the face. Wondering who we are talking about? Well, the person in concern is Kurare, the deadliest and the most infallible killer of the Society of Assassins. The true identity of this antagonist here still happens to be a mystery, and mind you, no one knows her real name. But it goes without saying that this silent assassin has been more than a challenging threat to Batman. Judging by the Caped Crusader's reaction when he first saw her face, one can easily assume that it is disfigured in some way or the other. Well, in today's video, we are not only going to talk about Kurare, but also explore her tragic origin story, her appearances in Batman Beyond animated television series, and what is it that makes her character so deadly. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Kurare, tragic origin story explored. Justice League Beyond, Chapter 21, Beyond Origins, Green Lantern Kai-Ro. Co-written by Derek Fridolfs and Dustin Nguyen, the narrative has High Lamas on the lookout for the next Dalai Lama. It has been more than 5 years, but they still have not been able to find their chosen leader. The current search has taken them to the sacred holy lake in central Tibet called Lamo Latso. so as to meditate and look for a vision, or perhaps a voice of a wailing baby. Discovered by a monk, the child was brought to the temple, nestled high in the Himalayas. The High Lama Council elders, upon seeing the boy, take him in and come to a decision to raise him in spite of not being sure if he is the next chosen one. They wish to determine that later through a test. With years passing by, the boy Kairo starts growing up. He is seen living a very contented life at the temple, doing all the chores and relishing the simplicities of life. The young boy is particularly seen to share a rather special bond with one of the female monks there, whom he addresses as sister. However, the duo's views on life differed vastly. While the sister considered the temple as a cage, blamed her parents for leaving her with the monks, and was of the opinion that life beyond the temple would provide her with wealth, Kairo was quite happy with what life offered him and prayed that his sister found peace at the temple just the way he did. Soon came the day of the test. If the chosen one passes it, he would be the reincarnated Dalai Lama that the High Lamas believe him to be. It is a huge gathering, one that's attended by the Buddhists from 3 other monasteries, secular clergies, as well as other monks. While Kairo is made to sit in the front for the test, the sister intervenes and asks the elders why they were not following the old tradition of deciding the chosen one by drawing a name out of the golden urn. The High Lamas have clearly decided to do things a bit differently this time. Therefore, they ask the sister to step back and observe, much to her dismay. Soon, a list of gathered items are placed in front of the young boy. As part of the test, one of the items belonged to the previous Dalai Lama, and if Kairo could identify the right item, he would be seen as the true reincarnation of his predecessor. With Kairo moving his hand closer to the items, a green lantern ring rises by itself and chooses him. The boy is selected to become the new Green Lantern of Sector 2814, while the question remained if he chose the ring, or was it the other way around. All the monks present there were both filled with wonder, as well as scared by the power Kairo was suddenly in possession of. Well, of course, the sister stepped in and attempted to take advantage of the situation by stating that they should be using the urn. But somehow, the urn gets knocked down and shattered. It revealed the sister's name on the sticks. It is quite clear that all of the original sticks were replaced by the sister's names, which is why the sister had been insisting all this while to do things the traditional way and use the urn to identify the chosen one. It was time for the monks to come to a decision, and after witnessing the whole event, they made up their minds to not have elements of great power and the darkness of soul on their sacred grounds. They asked the duo to leave. Well, it was time for both Kairo and the sister to forge new paths. The resentful sister refused to acknowledge Kairo as the chosen one. As for the latter, he expressed his grief that his sister was too dazed and she just could not see past her own ambitions and abhorrence. Before the duo parted ways, the sister renounced Kairo as her brother and vowed to meet him the next time as enemies. Well, it was very clear that the duo headed toward 2 opposite directions. While Kairo put his faith on the path of light, the sister embraced the path of darkness. The sister was seen undertaking a certain procedure performed by a dark monastery, one that caused her skin to develop a particular blue pigmentation. No points for guessing who the sister is now. It is often assumed that it was this very method that caused Kurare's transformation and had her cover her face for the rest of her life. With Kairo joining the corps, Kurare eventually became a member of the Society of Assassins. Appearances in Batman Beyond animated television series, A Touch of Kurare, directed by Dan Reba and written by Hilary J. Bader. The 12th episode of Batman Beyond marks the first appearance of the unstoppable assassin Kurare, still bragging a current IMDb rating of 8.1. The episode begins with Commissioner Barbara Gordon enjoying a late-night walk inside the Gotham Park with her husband, District Attorney Sam Young, when they suddenly get attacked by a strange woman dressed in white, boasting blue skin and a covered face. Judging by her appearance, she clearly looked like an assassin, and a deadly one, if we may add. Anyway, she starts attacking them with her scimitar, one that is actually sharp enough to cut trees. Barbara does her best to defend herself as well as her husband and starts shooting at her, only to see the mysterious woman deflect the shots easily using her sword. With the intervention of Batman in the scene, Barbara is able to buy herself just enough time to inform the police of the attack. With the police arriving, they start shooting both at Batman as well as the woman. While Barbara tells her men to leave Batman and focus on the woman, the latter easily manages to escape. Later at the Batcave, Terry learns more about the mysterious woman from Bruce, who tells him her name Curare, and even shows him the only photo that the Interpol has of her. As a member of the Society of Assassins, she is deadly, and also in possession of a scimitar that's honed to perfection by lasers. With Terry deciding to look after Barbara in case Curare attacks her again, Bruce tells him that she isn't Curare's target. That's precisely when Barbara arrives at the Batcave and tells them who the main target is, her husband. Of course, Terry is shocked to see the commissioner there and wonders how did she even manage to get inside. Barbara discloses to both of them about how her husband is scheduled to testify at the trial of Fyodor Davik, the international arms dealer. Without the testimony, Davik is a free man, and that's why he has arranged for a hitman for her husband before the deposition. As for Terry, he is further shocked to discover that Barbara was once Batgirl. Before leaving, Barbara tells both of them to stay outside the matters of police. Post Curare's first attempt to assassinating Sam Young getting thwarted, she is reproached by the Master Assassin for her failure. The Master gave her a reminder of how she has been taught to expect the unexpected, and no one, for that matter, should make a difference to her, further reminding her the price of failure, which, by the way, happens to be death. She is sent back to complete her task. The next scene shows Sam Young being kept inside a heavily guarded house. Curare makes her move right after she sees Barbara leaving the house. It goes without saying that she is effortlessly able to take out all the men and makes it very easily inside the house, followed by Terry, of course. Post a brief struggle between the duo, Terry is successful in taking off her mask and is shocked to see her face. But Curare kicks him right in his face and makes her way inside the DA's room. Inside, she hurls her scimitar at the DA, and in this case, a dummy, which means the whole thing was a setup. While both of them manage to escape, a Batarang is left behind, disclosing his involvement. Post discovering the Batarang, Barbara decides to have a word alone with Terry when she tells him that she will arrest him, as well as Bruce, if she finds them involved. Terry questions her regarding her hatred for Bruce. That is when Barbara tells him that she does not hate him, and later, over coffee, she tells him about her past as Batgirl, the fact that she called it off with Dick Grayson just so she could stay behind with Bruce, and that she gave up the life when it dawned upon her that Bruce would always choose his vigilante life over everything else. Well, soon came the night of the trial, and Curare gets to know how Sam is being taken to the court. As for Bruce, he tells Terry about the Society of Assassins' usual procedure of killing their very members who fail to carry out the task given to them. Speaking of Curare, she is the best, one who has never failed the Society. Next, we are shown Sam Young on a train with Barbara. As always, Curare is seen to pursue them. Not only does she manage to overthrow the guards, but also manages to derail the train. This results in Sam Young's train compartment getting separated from the rest and crashing into the side of a building. Barbara and her husband are seen taking refuge inside a meat processing plant, one where they seal themselves in, while Barbara assures her husband that there is a 10-inch thick steel door that's separating them from Curare. She is absolutely shocked to see the assassin easily getting through the door by cutting a circle on it via her scimitar, of course. Curare is just about to strike them when she gets intervened by Batman for the third time in a row. What ensues is a deadly fight with Curare, now throwing daggers at her opponent, as well as attacking him with her sword. With one of her daggers activating the meat grinder, the fight leads them right over it. Curare is about to incapacitate Batman with her sword when Barbara throws a Batarang towards her, one that actually knocks her sword and lands it right into the grinder. Curare is ultimately captured by Batman. Terry is later seen talking to Bruce over phone when he gets to know from a news report about Curare's escaping from police custody. While her whereabouts remain unknown, Bruce tells Terry not to worry because she has other concerns to take care of. The episode ends with Curare driving a police car when a sword suddenly stabs right down through the car roof next to her. Final Cut. Directed by Butch Lukic and co-written by Hilary J. Bader and Alan Burnett, the 28th episode of Batman Beyond has the unstoppable assassin Curare reappearing. Boasting a current IMDb rating of 7.9, the episode is more like a follow-up, post the events of A Touch of Curare. It begins with a private jet making a brief landing at an airport. There seems to be a minor repair to be taken care of, with the audience getting a peek at the passenger of the plane. It's shown to be Devon, also known as Master Assassin, the head of the Society of Assassins. Devon is pretty nervous, and he has every reason to be. Why else would he spending a constant 3 months traveling via his private jet without ever touching down on land? He is seen telling another member of the society, Mutro Botha, to reach out to Batman in order to defeat Curare when the assassin is seen making her way on board the plane and waiting for it to take off. As planned, she attacks the Master Assassin, who is briefly able to dodge her initial attacks. Curare throws a small gas capsule towards him that, upon exploding, releases a certain chemical that sort of wipes his mind clean. Post that, she is seen jumping right out of the plane. Back in Gotham, Mutro Botha, as the last surviving member of the Society of Assassins, encounters Batman and tells him about the Society's standard procedure of killing their members who fail to carry out the task given to them. He is obviously hinting out at Curare, who has been unsuccessful in completing her task, was supposed to be executed, but the assassin ended up reversing the circumstances by hunting down the members one after the other. When he tells Batman that he required his protection, the latter points out that both of them were assassins at the end of the day, and there was no point helping one from the other. That is when Mutro discloses to Batman the real deal. He has implanted a bomb in the city, and only he is capable of deactivating it. But he would not do so if Batman does not defeat Curare. Terry contacts Max, and she is more than happy to help him out. So, with Mutro leaving his hotel room, Max sneaks inside looking for clues. Of course, Batman is highly enraged to hear that Max is inside, while the latter tells him that she has everything under control. We get to see Curare entering Mutro's room. The assassin is seen intensely attacking Max, who runs into the bathroom and locks it. While she hides behind the shower curtains, Curare cuts through the door and slashes right through the curtain. Max lets out a shriek. Batman, who had been keeping an eye on Mutro, leaves him in the middle of the street and goes back to the hotel room, where he is relieved to find Max alive and terrified. She tells him that the assassin backed off as soon as she got a good look at her. Batman tells her to go back home and stay indoors. Meanwhile, Mutro gets ambushed by Curare at a park, and while he is able to dodge her first few attempts, the assassin eventually gets the better of him when she incapacitates him using a gas capsule. Mutro's mind gets wiped clean by the time Batman returns for him. He is able to lay his hands on the timer device that had fallen out of Mutro's hand while he was fighting Curare. Upon seeing that the bomb will detonate in less than 3 hours, Batman reaches out to Max again, but this time at her apartment. While inspecting the remote control, Max, in due course, is able to figure out the possible location of the bomb, the Gotham Museum of Armaments. Batman is left with no other choice but to let Max come along with him in his Batmobile to aid him in his search for the explosive. The duo reaches the museum, and using a frequency scanner, they are able to figure out to an extent where the bomb is placed. It is at this very moment that Curare reaches the same location and starts attacking Batman. Of course, he tells her about the bomb and how it's going to kill everyone if it explodes, but the assassin simply pays no heed to him. It goes without saying that a heated fight takes place between the duo, amidst which the frequency scanner gets crushed. Max, however, is finally able to locate the bomb, but there's hardly a few seconds left before the bomb goes off. With less than 5 seconds to go, Max, seeing no option, takes a leap of faith and rips off the bomb along with its wires. Luckily, that works. As for Batman, he is finally able to capture Curare, and the latter is taken into custody. Back at her apartment, Terry fixes up Max's wounds, and the latter asks him how is it that he saves the world and not tell anybody about it. Terry smiles at him and calls him his partner. What is it that makes Curare so deadly? Well, for starters, her chosen weapon happens to be a scimitar with a molecular edge. It is laser sharpened to an extent that lets her easily cut through anything for that matter. be it a 10-inch thick steel door, trees, or even statues. Kurare is unstoppable with her scimitar. She is also seen to be quite proficient while using dirks and gas capsules. We also just can't disregard her levels of strength, endurance, and agility, jumping off a high-rise straight onto a moving train without hesitation even for once. That's the fearless Kurare we are talking about. Her vast knowledge and relation to poison shows when she is seen easily taking down the strongest members of the society, leaving them paralyzed and having their mind wiped completely clean. Besides all these, she is highly skilled in martial art forms, and as mentioned before, she is designed to kill, which is what makes her character so dangerous in the first place. One has every reason to watch out for Kurare, who single-handedly wiped out her entire society without uttering a single word, apart from a few grunts here and there, throughout her entire appearance in the comic television series. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.
Grand Ole Opry until 1969. That's crazy. She had a hit called Color Him Father, which rose to #2 on the country charts. Lionel Richie. He produced the 1991 Kenny Roger album Share Your Love. He wrote 4 songs on it and sang backup. Did y'all know that? Lionel Richie was he still is. He's a talented man. So he wrote this album for Kenny Rogers and he sung backup on it. Wow. Charles Tidley, who wrote I'll Understand It Better By and By. Now we know that song. If you went to church, you know that song. And Stand By Me and Leave It There, all of which have been mainstays among country music beginning in the 1930s. Willie Weeks. Weeks have been a bass player for Winona since 1991. He also played recordings for numerous other country artists, including Vince Gill, Charlie Daniels, and Lyle Lovett. You know, need I say more? That's a lot of talent right there. That's a lot of talent. And of course, it will always be overlooked, especially by a white nationalist. This is actually a man from Nigeria. And you can see he's holding that band jar in his hand. Thunder, thank you so much for the super chat. All right, you said
Decatur, Georgia. Realtor goes to a house.
There would be plenty of traffic coming through, in and out. They have a white lamb indicating white people, I guess, and the monkeys indicating black people hanging from a tree. And it says sometimes you have to pick the gun up to put the gun down. Black Lives Matter, question mark, question mark, question.
Obviously a racist display, right? We got some background to this, and I think we've identified the person behind it. Let me give you some insight.
He was walking inside and taking out the last few bits of picket signs, news, monkeys, lambs, everything out of his yard. His yard was clear, everything was gone. I don't know if the neighbor caught him, like, there's this black realtor, you know. I definitely know that this is not the end of this. These neighbors have been doing this for over a year now. They've complained to the local news station, to the police. He's been arrested several times for this hate crime stuff, but it goes no further than that.
Isn't that something? In the video, Shia, that is her name on the account, mentioned that TikTok banned her account and removed the video initially, saying it violated community guidelines regarding hate speech. She was exposing hate, not promoting it. Let's show a screenshot so you can get an idea of what this looks like. You see that? People had to pass that. People live around that. A realtor goes around that house to that community, and there it is. One commentator suggested that the homeowner was a previous offender named James Edward Avery. A report from local station WSB-TV in September 2017 covered neighborhood complaints against Mr. Avery, who indeed appeared to have an identical display of lynched monkeys hanging from a tree. Let's put up a picture of 2017. Now, call me crazy, but that is the exact same display, okay? Who's behind it? Put up the picture of Mr. James Avery. Yeah, we found him. There he is. Take a good look at him, because he's proud of this. At the time of the 2017 reporting, DeKalb County Police said the messaging fell under freedom of speech. In February 2018, Decatur-ish reported that Avery's neighbors begged DeKalb County to intervene for years until he was finally charged in 2017 under a local code that specified in the square footage allowed for signage. The excessive signage violation landed him $10,000 in fine and 5 years probation. But Avery broke the terms of his probation and received a sentence of 30 days in jail in 2018, according to the publication Decatur-ish. Now, I want to remind you, initially, law enforcement and those in elected leadership said, oh, there's nothing we can do. This is all covered by freedom of speech. The community continued to advocate, and all of a sudden, they found a code, they found a statute that actually did apply. You know, there's another one. There's an ordinance about obscenity, offensiveness. They decided not to apply that. They could have applied that as well. Typically, you have to encourage, advocate for the laws to be applied to white supremacists. It is amazing to me that it took this much to get some movement, and it is amazing to me that initially the elected leadership of that locality decided not to engage the community properly. All right, Ms. Khan, thoughts on this?
You know, whenever people are dealing with a racist situation, the onus is on the victim to prove that somebody was acting racist towards them. And a lot of times it's a very, very difficult thing to do, because there's so many ways to explain away what could be perceived as racism, right? So even when I was first initially watching the TikTok, I thought, wow, you know, yeah, there's a lamb over here, there's monkey, like it's very obvious imagery to most people, but it's something that people could, if they really wanted to, dispute, say, no, that's not what that represents. But then as she kept panning, it was like Black Lives Matter and all the question marks. It's like, how overt do you have to be before this is an actual hate crime, right? How much do you tolerate before you say we should actually do something about this? And the sad part about all of this is that his goal was probably effective. You know, if I walked up to a house and I was considering buying a house in this neighborhood and I saw that, even if the guy no longer lives there or whatever the case is, I don't want that house anymore. So he might, I mean, it sucks because at the end of the day, he might have actually gotten what he wanted. I mean, we don't know because the story hasn't concluded yet, but it's really sad. And then all the mechanisms that are in place to prevent things like this from happening, and then whether or not they actually work.
But enough about me. I'm sure you're eager to see who you'll be spending the rest of your life with.
Unacceptable!
Starfire, meet your groom.
John Cena!
Starfire, meet your groom.
John Cena!
But enough.
Home family.
Bruh.
No, 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 no.
Bruh. Bruh.
mi ạ. Em nào, em nào. Em hát.
A family of 7 sits down to eat some leftovers for dinner one evening. They've saved some pasta salad from a picnic they had on the weekend. It smells a little funny, so 3 of the children only eat a small portion. But it would be wasteful to throw it away, so it should be fine, right? Unfortunately not, for in a short 6 hours, all 5 children will be hospitalized. After what everyone thought was just a simple dinner, finishing off some leftovers to make sure nothing was wasted quickly devolved into bouts of vomiting, labored breathing, and a fight for their children's very lives. Let's get into it. After a picnic in the park on a Friday circa 2003, 5 children became sick after eating leftover pasta salad their family had saved until the following Monday. The salad smelled funny, so 3 of the kids, 2 girls aged 9 and 10 and a boy aged 14, only ate a little bit. Shortly after finishing the salad, about 6 hours later, the youngest girl, aged 7, began vomiting. Suddenly, her breathing became labored. She was taken immediately to the emergency room of a local hospital. But as they arrived, the rest of the children began to throw up as well. The youngest girl and her 9-year-old brother's breathing worsened quickly, so medical staff intubated them and got them on mechanical ventilators. All of the children were then transported to the University Hospital in Leuven. But during transfer, the youngest girl experienced a severe pulmonary hemorrhage, which meant that blood was leaking into her airways, and paramedics were forced to apply continuous resuscitation to keep her alive. When she arrived at the Leuven hospital, she was near death, in a coma, with internal bleeding and intense muscle cramps. Unfortunately, there was nothing doctors could do, and she died after 20 minutes of arriving at the university hospital, only 13 hours after eating the pasta salad. The salad was made on a Friday before being taken to the picnic the next day. Unfinished, they brought the salad home and kept it in the fridge until Monday night when it was served to everyone. You probably smell fine, but thanks to today's sponsor, Scentbird, you can smell fine. Scentbird is a fragrance subscription service that lets you test out colognes and perfumes from over 600 brands in just a click. You can even skip a month if the scents don't speak to you, with no penalties. Pick a new fragrance to try each month for only $16. Scentbird offers top designer brands like Tom Ford, Prada, and Versace. They even carry indie labels like The Harmonist, Confession of a Rebel, and Vince Camuto. Scentbird will customize your scents based on previous purchases and a short quiz on their website. One way or another, you'll find a smell you love. This month, we got Tommy Bahama Maritime Deep Blue. It felt really fresh and clean, kind of like just stepping out of the shower. It was reminiscent of a relaxing summer vacation, and it was our favorite out of the 3. We also got the Mercedes, both colorful and stylish. Liver failure with 9-year-old boy. Coupon code BRUISE55 to get 55% off your first Scentbird order. All of the siblings were affected by the ailment, though to different severities. The 9-year-old boy was taken to the pediatric ICU, where he was ventilated and monitored. They treated him for liver failure with lactulose, neomycin, and acetylcysteine. He regained consciousness and was successfully extubated with no other major complications. The elder 2 sisters were treated with fluid resuscitation and recovered slowly. The eldest brother was affected less severely than the others and was kept under observation. His blood samples came back good, and he, along with the surviving brothers and sisters, were allowed to leave after 8 days in the hospital. In another case involving leftovers, a 17-year-old boy and his father came down with a bout of vomiting 30 minutes after eating spaghetti served with homemade pesto. It was made about 4 days prior and put into the fridge. However, it was left out at room temperature multiple times for up to 2 hours at a time before it was reheated and served. The spaghetti had an odor, but they ate all of it. However, the son ate more than his father. The father was a doctor, so coming down with abdominal pain and diarrhea about 30 minutes after eating, he took a course of antiemetics and charcoal to help his vomiting. He stabilized, but his son, who didn't have diarrhea, continued vomiting so badly he could not keep his charcoal down despite being given antiemetic meds. The son's condition slowly deteriorated over the next 2 days. His father treated him with aspirin, acetaminophen, and other medications. The efforts were in vain, however. His son became fatigued and listless. He was taken to the hospital, where doctors found him to be jaundiced, his skin and eyes yellowed, as well as suffering from tachycardia, a very high heart rate. Doctors diagnosed him with fulminant hepatic failure, rhabdomyolysis, and acute renal failure. In other words, his liver was failing very quickly. His muscles were leaking into his bloodstream, and his kidneys were failing as well. All in all, a bad day, wouldn't you agree? The father still had some abdominal pain and diarrhea, but was otherwise completely fine. The son's condition, however, continued to worsen. At the University Hospital of Zurich, he wasn't able to respond to commands nor walk on his own. His pupils still responded to light, though, which is a win, however small. Doctors took some of the son's blood for examination, but no toxins that would trigger liver failure were found. Medical staff also tested the blood for any nefarious bacteria and fungi. However, those tests also came back negative. Doctors also determined that his liver failure was not connected to hepatitis, Epstein-Barr virus, or herpes. The son was immediately scheduled for a liver transplant and supportive treatment. Despite this, the boy developed a brain edema, which is when fluid builds up in the skull cavity, putting pressure on the brain. This pressure built up until his brain couldn't take any more. He died a day after arriving at the hospital. Now, I'm sure you've noticed some similarities between our cases already. In particular, both of the deceased and their families ate leftovers before coming down with symptoms. They both suffered forms of liver failure before their untimely deaths. But what could be behind this? The liver, in short, is the organ that controls the levels of particular chemicals in our bloodstream and removes any toxins or waste products. All the blood leaving your stomach and intestines after gobbling up all the nutrients from your food is filtered through the liver before going out to the rest of your body. It also converts various chemicals into forms that the rest of your body can use. So without it, your body is unable to get many of the nutrients it needs from your digestive system. Nutrients that your body needs to, live. The autopsy on the young girl found cultures of bacteria called Bacillus cereus in her gut and her spleen. Medical staff also performed a liver biopsy and found that her liver was severely necrotic. The very cells that made up her liver were dying. Upon testing the food she'd eaten and her vomit, doctors found more cultures of B. cereus, lending credence to their theory that the foodborne pathogen had killed her. In short, bacteria in her food shut down her liver, taking her life. In the autopsy on the 17-year-old, after a liver biopsy, doctors found high concentrations of, you guessed it, B. cereus. Medical staff also found necrosis on his liver as well, which suggested an impairment of liver mitochondria,
the powerhouse of the cell,
due to B. cereus. Not only that, after testing his bile in the pan that reheated the spaghetti, staff found more B. cereus cultures. He succumbed to the same fate as the young girl. Bacteria in his food killed the cells in his liver, ending his life. But what is B. cereus, and how did it take the lives of 2 children? According to the British Columbia Center for Disease Control, B. cereus is a foodborne pathogen that can create 2 different toxins, which can trigger 2 kinds of illness. The first is an emetic toxin, which causes vomiting, and the second is a diarrheal toxin, which triggers, diarrhea. The emetic toxin causes vomiting almost immediately after ingestion, whereas the diarrheal only begins to wreak havoc once toxins are produced in the intestine. Symptoms of emetic syndrome include vomiting, nausea, and occasionally diarrhea as well. They usually appear between half an hour to 5 hours after eating contaminated food. The diarrheal syndrome triggers nausea and abdominal pain along with the diarrhea. Symptoms of diarrheal syndrome are more delayed compared to the emetic toxin, taking about 8 hours to start showing. It should go without saying, but some cases are more severe than others. As we saw with both of our cases, your condition can deteriorate quickly. The young girl died within 13 hours, and the young man only 2 days after ingesting the contaminated food. If you have serious symptoms, you should speak with a doctor immediately. Bacillus cereus is a bacteria commonly found in soil and can be found on lots of different foods, including, but not limited to, meats, cereal, vegetables, milk, puddings, and soups. The tenaciousness of the bacteria is due to its production of heat-resistant spores, which can survive the cooking process. They are associated with starchy foods like pastas, grow in environments with pH levels more than 4.8 and temperatures between 8 and 55 degrees Celsius. That being said, not all strains of bacteria produce the toxin that actually causes food poisoning. In most cases, the reasons for B. cereus poisoning are caused by improper food handling and storage. You can kill the spores of the bacteria by cooking at temperatures above 121 degrees Celsius. However, if you let your food sit out between 4 and 57 degrees Celsius, the bacteria can begin producing toxins once more. As always, you must store perishable foods properly. That is, cold food below 4 degrees and hot food above. However, if you let caused by improper food handling and storage. You can kill the spores of the bacteria by cooking at temperatures above 121 degrees Celsius. However, if you let your food sit out between 4 and 57 degrees Celsius, the bacteria can begin producing toxins once more. As always, you must store perishable food. If you let your food sit out between 4 and 57 degrees Celsius, the bacteria can begin producing toxins between above and storage. You can kill the spores of the bacteria by cooking at temperatures above 121 degrees Celsius. However, if you let your food sit out between 4 and 57 degrees Celsius, the bacteria can begin producing toxins once more. As always, you must store perishable foods properly. That is, cold food below 4 degrees and hot food above 57 degrees. Any amount of time food spends in the danger zone, that is, between 4 degrees and 57 degrees Celsius, is time that foodborne diseases can take hold. It should be mentioned that of all foodborne diseases in the US, B. cereus only accounted for 0.2% of all illnesses. Also, it's never recommended to eat anything that smells off. Reminding you all to store food properly seems obvious, but what is a little less clear is just how this bacteria Control-Alt-Deletes your liver. In both of our cases above, the victim suffered from the effects of B. cereus's emetic toxin, a little number called cerulide. How cerulide functions has actually been a mystery for a long time. The only method researchers knew to detect it used living primates, and the ethics of using our closest evolutionary cousins is questionable. However, recently better detection methods were developed that have allowed us to detail its structure more clearly. We do still have some way to go before we understand the biosynthetic pathway and mechanics of this toxin. But researchers discovered that cerulide affects the vagus nerve, the main controller of your parasympathetic nervous system, which controls some of the involuntary actions of our body, including digestion, heart rate, and the immune system. Cerulide causes vomiting because of its effect on the gastrointestinal vagal afferent fibers. These nerves transmit information about the status of your gastrointestinal tract to your brain. and they control the induction of nausea and vomiting. Cerulide causes more than vomiting, as we've seen in our cases. The really dangerous thing about B. cereus is its toxin's effect on the liver. A study titled Pathological Effect of Synthetic Cerulide, an emetic toxin of Bacillus cereus is reversible in mice, looked at the effect of cerulide on mitochondria after administering different levels of the toxin to mice. Their team found that cerulide works the same in mice as it does in human cases, at least as far as liver failure goes. They noticed damage in the liver within 6 hours of injecting the mice with their synthetic cerulide. They didn't see any damage to any other organs, however. In the liver itself, they found that cerulide damaged hepatocytes, the main functioning cells of the liver, forming about 80% of its mass. The extent of the damage is determined by the concentrations of cerulide consumed, but researchers found the effects of the toxin on mitochondria was the main cause of liver failure in their mice. Researchers wanted to learn if liver damage caused by cerulide is reversible. Fortunately, they found that poisoned tissue reverted to almost normal in about 4 weeks. If the load on their liver could be reduced, many patients would see improvements in their prognosis. Treatments for liver failure include medications that fight poisoning, relieve pressure in the brain, prevent bleeding, and nutritional support if your liver has been damaged such that it can no longer metabolize nutrients. As a last resort, done only when the damage is too far gone, doctors can also perform a liver transplant. Like most foodborne illnesses, your best protection is prevention. Storing all food at a safe temperature will make sure that no nefarious microscopic bacteria can grow. It's also just a general good rule of thumb to never eat anything that smells funny. Detecting smell is one of our body's many defense mechanisms, and we should be mindful when our bodies tell us that something isn't right. I'm sure that none of this is of any solace to the families of those who've passed away as a result of B. cereus and cerulide poisoning. Any death is a tragedy, but when it comes from such an innocuous place as some leftover pasta, it hurts so much more. One lapse of judgment or one mistake can be all it takes for a catastrophe to take hold. Remember, to smell your best, Scentbird is offering 55% off your first order using our coupon code BRUISE55, or click the link in the description below. It's a calm summer day. The sun lists between the clouds above, casting long shadows across the sandy shoals and shallows of the Salish Sea. Peaceful until BC resident Sandra Malone saw a woman running frantically for help. She knew that someone had been hurt, but when she arrived on the scene to find only a human foot, she knew she had to tread lightly.
What's this? The puzzling plot of a podiatric serial killer. They'll take your life and your feet too.
Her name is Penelope Lapierre. She's a Montreal-born podiatrist turned serial killer. Sorry, Brew, continue.
The foot was found at a beach near Campbell River on Vancouver Island, wrapped in the soaking remains of a size 10 Adidas running shoe. When Malone saw the foot, she got the chills right away and quickly got her husband to come out to investigate. It's definitely a foot in a shoe. You could see the bone sticking out, she said. But how it got there and who it belonged to was a mystery. Malone immediately called the police, and soon they arrived to collect the remains. Investigators took the foot back to the station to be examined by a coroner, a forensic pathologist, and a forensic anthropologist. Theories quickly began emerging to explain these mysterious circumstances. One posited that this foot was connected to the remains of a group of 5 who vanished after a plane crash 3 years prior. The 5 men had taken off from Campbell River, crashing near Quadra Island off the coast of Vancouver Island. Only one of the men's bodies was ever recovered. Sally Feast, the sister of one of the missing men, said that it was beginning to be a little bit unbearable, thinking that a foot could be all that was left of her brother. In an effort to connect the foot to one of the men, forensic examiners asked their family members to donate DNA samples. Unfortunately, none of the DNA samples were a match to the missing men. For their families, it meant another wild goose chase. Kirsten Stevens, whose husband died in the crash, said that the missing remains were a constant reminder of the lack of closure in regards to this accident.
Wait, then who the hell did it belong to?
Well, Dr. Gail Anderson of the Simon Fraser University Center for Forensic Research noted that it could be one of those massive international boats that goes through this area, and that we could be looking at an incident that didn't even officially happen in our waters. But a day later, when forensic experts took a closer look at the remains, they discovered a terrible secret. But before we get into that, I'm embarrassed to say that I basically survived off cup noodles and bowls of cereal through college. Definitely not the healthiest diet, but I'm happy to report that whether you're a student or working long hours, there's a better option. Now there's Magic Spoon, sponsor of this portion of our video, a healthier alternative to sugary cereals. Magic Spoon cereals have 0 grams of sugar, 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in every serving. Each serving is also only 140 calories. Try one of their 4 best-selling flavors in the variety pack, which comes with cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. They also have cookies and cream, cinnamon, blueberry, maple waffle. For something so chock full of nutrients, it tastes pretty amazing. Magic Spoon is also keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, and soy-free too. Click the link below to pick yourself up a variety pack, or build your own and give it a try. Be sure to use our promo code BrewSolves at checkout to get $5 off any order, or go to magicspoon.com/brewsolves. Magic Spoon is so confident you'll love their cereal, they're offering a 100% happiness guarantee. If you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund you. No questions asked. And good news for us Canadians, eh? Magic Spoon is now shipping anywhere in Canada and the UK. When forensic experts took a closer look at the remains, they discovered a terrible secret. The human foot that they found was, in fact, just a bundle of animal bones.
What? How did a bunch of animal bones get in a shoe?
According to the forensics team that examined the foot, a skeletonized animal paw was inserted into the shoe with a sock and packed with dried seaweed. It was intentionally left there.
Ugh, who would do something like that?
That beats me. Chief Coroner Terry Smith said that it was a very, very senseless and thoughtless act, and that clearly it wasn't done with any thought or feelings of the families of these missing people.
They sound like a loser with too much time on their hands.
And not enough brains.
Exactly.
Whatever prankster behind this cruel joke seemed to know their local history.
Local history?
The area near Campbell River, BC, specifically, was inserted into the shoe with a sock and packed with dried seaweed. It was intentionally left there.
Ugh, who would do something like that?
That beats me. Chief forensic experts took a closer look at the remains. They discovered a terrible secret. The human foot that they found was, in fact, just a bundle of animal bones.
What? How did a bunch of animal bones get in a shoe?
According to the forensics team that examined the foot, a skeletonized animal paw was inserted into the shoe with a sock and packed with dried seaweed. It was intentionally left there.
Ugh, who would do something like that?
That beats me. Chief Coroner Terry Smith said that it was a very, very senseless and thoughtless act, and that clearly it wasn't done with any thought or feelings of the families of these missing people.
They sound like a loser with too much time on their hands.
And not enough brains.
Exactly.
Whatever prankster behind this cruel joke seemed to know their local history.
Local history?
The area near Campbell River, BC, specifically the body of water between the British Columbia mainland and Vancouver Island, has been known for a strange phenomenon. Since 2007, a grand total of 15 severed, real, bona fide human feet have shown up at various locales along the Salish Sea coastline.
What the
At the time of the hoax, investigators had been searching for the origin of another 5 severed feet.
So wait, they had an extra 5 feet?
There have been far more than just 5. Over the course of 11 years, BC Coroner's Service identified 4 pairs of feet and 7 additional individual feet to a total of 15 on Canadian shores. The British Columbia Coroner's Service has even thrown together a simple map highlighting each place a foot was found from August 2007 to October 2019. 3 of the 4 pairs were matched using DNA evidence, but the last were matched using circumstantial and anthropological evidence.
What does that mean?
They were found very close to one another and were inside the same style of running shoe. A forensic anthropologist also examined the bones of each foot and found a connection. The aforementioned map labels feet found on Canadian coasts. Including American finds, the total rises to 21. Since no more pairs were identified, there are probably at least 11 more feet floating around in the Salish Sea somewhere.
After a decade, there probably isn't much floating, brew.
Certainly not, but it's very possible that there are even more feet floating around. Cause, I just needed another reason to fear the ocean. It's most of our planet, and I hate it.
Okay, this is getting a little weird. I was just joking about the whole podiatrist serial killer thing.
It's unsettling at best, and terrifying at worst. There have been many theories to explain it over the years, ranging from serial killers, drug deals gone wrong, plane crashes, human traffickers, even the Indian Ocean tsunami of 2004. The man who found one of the feet suspected something ominous was going on. There's something doing this all right. Think about it. If they tied a chain around someone's ankle and threw them overboard, the foot would just pop off. Maybe they got a lot of bodies stored up in a container and they got washed out. But the reality is much simpler, yet no less upsetting than speculation. In truth, the authorities have become pretty nonchalant about the whole thing in recent years. They still follow the proper forensic procedure, but the mystery of the feet unraveled fairly quickly. The BC Coroner Service stated, in none of the cases was any foul play involved. The Salish Sea, which is bordered by Vancouver and Seattle, is very densely populated. In short, there's bodies in the water because there's just a lot of people who live nearby. Unfortunately, accidents and self-inflicted deaths are fairly common around any body of water. But bodies seem to wash up on the shores of the Salish Sea more frequently than in other coastal regions, like San Francisco or Miami. According to oceanographer Parker McCready of the University of Washington, things that float at the ocean surface move with the currents, but also are pushed a bit by the wind, and this can be significant in getting them to shore. And the prevailing winds here around the Salish Sea are west to east, and so floating stuff in this part of the Pacific gets blown to the coast.
Oh, it's the jet stream.
Exactly. The jet stream is a flow of super fast moving winds that always travel west to east in a large ring across the entire globe. Since ocean currents are, in part, controlled by wind, you get something of an ocean garbage highway that takes any floating debris from the Pacific Ocean and deposits it in the Salish Sea.
But why feet, bro?
Yeah, bro, why feet?
Why feet?
Feet!
There are a few pieces of evidence that can give us a step in the right direction.
Come on, please!
Kathy Taylor, a forensic anthropologist at the King County Medical Examiner's Office, has said, "The ones I have seen are not fresh feet. They've been in the water for a long time, with significant decomposition."
So they're grody.
But that's not all. Constable Annie Linteau of the RCMP made a statement to the public. "We want to make it clear, there is no evidence that these feet had been severed. There were no tool markings and no visible sign of trauma."
So the feet weren't sawn off?
You're watching too much of Twist's videos. All the evidence points toward natural aquatic disarticulation.
Disarticle what now?
It's a fancy word that means the separation of bones at the joint. In this case, how bodies separate at the joints when they're left in water. Taphonomist, or decomposition expert, William D. Haglund, wrote in a paper on aquatic decomposition that the disappearance of body parts followed the general sequence: bones of the hands and wrists, bones of the feet and ankles, and the mandible and cranium. And as parts drop away from floating carcasses in large or current-driven bodies of water, they are often separated from the major body unit. What's more is that the cushioning in modern sneakers act as a makeshift flotation device for separated feet. Your new pair of Reebok Club C85s are really just life jackets for your disarticulated footsies. Dr. Anderson notes that if you double check, you'll see that there are no feet washing ashore in stiletto heels or flip-flops. Not only does the buoyancy of today's running shoe expedite the separating of the feet by forcing the feet upwards as the body decomposes, they can also protect the feet against the nibbles of sea-dwelling scavengers and the process of decomposition itself. Your socks and shoes are like a mummy's wrapping and sarcophagus. The humble running shoe protects our feet to the bitter end, or rather, beyond the bitter end. I want to be very clear. If you find a human foot with no human attached to it, or any human part for that matter, please call the police. Just because it's normal to find human feet lying around doesn't mean we don't need to report it. We can find the absurdity in it, but we should never forget the human element. We should remember that at one point, all of these feet were attached to people, real people, with likes and dislikes, with families and dreams. This weird phenomena, after
For some of us, childhood was a happy time, filled with curiosity and wonder. But for some, childhood was something stripped away too quickly to enjoy. The Land Before Time is a nostalgic flashback to the 80s, but it's easy to forget that under the mask of the cute voice behind Ducky lies the grisly past of Judith Barcy and her unfortunate demise. Born to Hungarian immigrants Joseph Barcy and Maria Virovac on June 6, 1978, Judith Barcy began acting from a very young age. Eager to experience the American dream, Judith's mother trained her to be a star. Her success began at the age of 5, when she was discovered at San Fernando Valley skating rink by a film crew who were shooting a commercial. Mesmerized by the cute petite child, they knew she would be perfect for their commercials. Her first commercial was for Donald Duck orange juice, and after just one meeting, she was signed with Harry Gold and Associates Talent Agency. Her success in 72 commercials eventually landed her larger roles in TV shows, such as The Twilight Zone and Growing Pains, and movies. Her best-known roles were Ducky in The Land Before Time and Anne-Marie in All Dogs Go to Heaven. Her small stature and her baby face allowed her to be cast in younger roles, especially so directors wouldn't need to deal with younger actors who would be easily distracted. Judith was known to be excellent at following directions and a pleasure to work with. According to agent Ruth Hansen, when she was 10, she was still playing 7/8. With her quick success, she made upwards of $100,000 a year. Eventually, the family was able to buy a modest 3-bedroom home in the West Hills, a suburb of LA. Little did the public know, Barcy's role in Fatal Vision as an abused child closely shadowed her own life. Despite her success, there was darkness looming over in the Barcy household. Joseph was distressed from his unemployment and inability to find work, so he turned to alcohol. According to his friends, he was prone to angry outbursts when drunk, threatening men he suspected snickering at him. He was what friend Peter Kivlin considered a show-off. Joseph claimed to have served time in New York for killing a man, yet there were no police records of his arrest. In fact, he had only been arrested 3 times for DUIs. The drinking outside was brought back to the home, and so were the violent outbursts. He was jealous of his daughter's quick success and his employment situation, but also felt a deal of possessiveness over her. According to Sandra Palmer, a Los Angeles police detective, she was their main source of income and considered Judith his little girl. Despite her stardom and abuse behind the scenes, Judith appeared to be a normal girl, playing outside with her friends and painting pictures. This was not Joseph's first marriage. Upon fleeing Hungary after the 1956 uprising and moving to France, he met another Hungarian immigrant, Carla, whom he married and had 2 children with. They experienced a similar form of abuse upon moving to the United States, until Carla left her husband and took her children to Arizona. Abandoned, Joseph followed his wife and children, who decided to give him another chance. However, this chance was broken when he threw a cast iron pan at Carla's face in another fit of drunken rage. They filed for divorce shortly after. In December 1986, Maria had filed a police report against her husband when he threatened to kill her, accusing him of choking and hitting her face. With no visible injuries, she eventually declined to prosecute. Before going to the Bahamas to shoot Jaws the Revenge, Joseph held a knife to Judith's and whispered, "If you decide not to come back, I will cut your throat." Her agent from the talent agency, Ruth Hansen, witnessed Joseph reminding Judith what he had said before she left, sending the little girl into hysterics. From then, Hansen knew there was something wrong. According to sources, Maria would tell whoever would listen about the abuse and how scared she was. Judith would often tell her classmates that she was afraid to go home, that her dad was drunk and miserable and wanted to kill her mother. Concerned and aware about the situation, neighbors and family friends offered refuge for Maria and Judith, but were pushed away. In fact, a neighbor told LA Times that Joseph told me 500 times he was going to kill his wife. I tried to calm him down. I'd tell him, "If you kill her, what will happen to your little one?" He would then claim he would kill her too. Another neighbor claimed Joseph said he would kill himself and Judith and keep Maria alive to suffer. Due to what she experienced at home, Judith exhibited traits of trichotillomania, a disorder that results from extreme stress and causes sufferers to pull out hair from their scalp, eyebrows, and eyelids. She was reported to have plucked out all of her own eyelashes while pulling out her cat's whiskers. In May 1988, Judith's agent Ruth Hansen noticed she was crying before an audition, stating that she couldn't take it. Troubled by the situation, Hansen informed Maria that she should take Judith to see a child psychologist. The therapist described Judith's situation as extreme verbal, mental, and emotional problems, and that she needed to report it to the Los Angeles County Department of Children's Services. According to Ray Lamotte, a spokeswoman for the LADCFS, they had a plan of action to separate the two from their abuser, but Maria decided that she needed to deal with the situation by herself and called it off. Around this time, Maria had rented an apartment in Panorama City where she and Judith would hide out during the day and return to their home at night. According to Joseph's daughter from his previous marriage, Augie, Maria was determined to stay at the house that Judith had worked so hard for. It was Maria's dream after all, and she didn't want Joseph to have it. If anyone was going to leave, it was going to be my father. Leaving also meant that she and Judith would have to go into hiding, which meant losing their source of income. Fed up with the abuse and finally ready to leave, Maria would plan to serve divorce papers the next day. Little did she know, those plans might have been the last straw for Joseph. On the somber evening of July 25th, 1988, as Judith lay in her canopy bed, sleeping peacefully across from her pink television, Joseph Barzi entered his daughter's room and shot her once in the head. Startled by the noise, Maria ran into the hallway to investigate when Joseph turned around and shot her as well. Earlier that morning, Joseph received a call from Judith's agent, Hansen, wondering where she was. The young girl had missed a crucial appointment with Hanna-Barbera Productions Incorporated, which worried Hansen. He lied and told her that Judith and Maria had taken a car to San Diego. For 2 days, Joseph Barsi wandered inside the house. On July 27th at 8:30 a.m., he doused the bodies of his wife and daughter in gasoline and lit the house on fire, before eventually shooting himself with a .32 caliber pistol. Their neighbor, Eunice Daly, was out watering her garden when she heard an explosion. Smoke started rising from the house. At first thought, as I ran to call 911 was, he's killed them and set fire in the house, just like he said he would. Police officers raced to the scene of the crime and found the charred bodies of Judith Barsi and her parents. Judith Barsi and Maria Verovats were buried in Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Los Angeles. Until 2004, Judith's grave remained unmarked. Now, engraved on her tombstone, is her iconic line as Ducky from The Land Before Time. Yep, yep, yep. Forever reminding us of the child star who continues to bring smiles to faces worldwide. How could a father kill his own family? According to family friend Elizabeth Linden, he felt that Maria was abandoning him just as his first wife did, and he couldn't take the pain of rejection. We'll never know what made him snap. whether it was the fear of being alone or malicious jealousy against his own daughter. Some blame Child Protective Services for failing Judith, claiming that they should not have dropped the investigation at the request of Maria. Others blame Maria for not leaving her husband sooner. Regardless, the tragedy of losing a young life still occurred. In loving memory of Judith Barcy, the closing credits song in All Dogs Go to Heaven, Love Survives, was dedicated to her. Undoubtedly fitting, because despite the twists and turns that this story took, love does survive in Judith Barcy's legacy.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson, back with another episode of Fair Use. And today, I've been waiting to do this for a minute, right? Young Pharaoh no longer subscribes to the teaching that the black woman is God. I know there's certain people that teach that. Brother Polite, I believe, is one of them. Young Pharaoh is another. So you do have some dudes in the conscious community that teach this stuff, but he no longer subscribes to it. Let's find out and get into the video.
Peace, family. This video right here is about how I no longer subscribe to the teaching that the black woman is God. You feel me? That was an understanding that I picked up dealing with, certain sciences and genetics. And, you know what I'm saying? I don't subscribe to that anymore. I feel like a man is the sun.
Hold on. Does this nigga say certain sciences and genetics? Bruh, you never taken any courses in genetics or science. Can you even spell genetics or science?
Just like when a woman is pregnant, she has a son. The black woman is God in the sense that she's the universe, but not in an egotistical evil sense. The black woman is supposed to embody the universe, but the black man is the sun, and a woman or women are your planets that you pull into your orbit, and they, as a man, you shine your light. You feel me? Your seed, your physical seed and your mental seed. You plant your physical and mental seed into a woman, and she's supposed to reflect that and blossom forth and bring forth light. You feel me? She's supposed to blossom forth and bring forth that light.
What the fuck is he even talking about? This is why I'm reviewing this video. Do y'all see what foolishness that y'all deal with in black YouTube, in the conscious community of black YouTube? Some of y'all, what is he even talking about? This don't make no goddamn sense. I'm wasting my goddamn time doing this shit. I really am. But I'm going to go ahead and keep playing it for y'all. Let's go.
Forth that light and reflect and revolve that around you. And this is why I believe in polygamy, because polygamy is supposed to be, me personally.
Why you lying? Why you stuttering? You are stuttering because you want to believe in polygamy because you want to thot it up. You like big booties. You want to have hoes. Just say that. You don't want to commit to, and you crazy. Just say that, bro. It's okay. We all like a little, little. What type of sounds? Yeah. It's great. Trust me. I like mine's different, brother. I'm a lot of men, So, but what that got to do with the black woman is God? Nothing. Foolishness, family. Foolishness. Let's go back.
I'm not speaking to nobody else. The reason I want to do polygamy is because I believe my ancestors did polygamy based upon the solar system.
Prison, psychology, history, whatever the hell. What does that gotta do? So your ancestors did polygamy based on the solar system. Well, your ancestors also didn't wipe their ass with toilet tissue. Do you go around wiping your ass? I mean, some of them probably went out there and hunted lions and hunted all kind of stuff. Goats that wore wooden sandals. And that, shout out to Africa. Do you do that? No. So polygamy, maybe not. We don't know. You on here lying, bro. I'm sorry.
And to me, God is the universe. And the universe, the womb, black womb, gives birth to light, the sun. And then the sun pulls stardust into its orbit. Those stardust begin to swirl into celestial bodies that we call planets. And the bigger and the more powerful the sun.
Spell celestial, bro. Really. Let's just be real.
For the sun, the more planets it can pull and hold and maintain. So I just want to let everybody know that's why I want to do polygamy. And certain planets got to be on certain levels in order to even be in my atmosphere.
You lying so goddamn much. You don't even. What are you even talking about? You want to do polygamy, but the black woman as God ain't God no more. What does that got to do with how this video? Why I no longer subscribe to my teaching the black woman is God. But it all goes back to you wanting to do polygamy. Bruh. Brother, you can't even handle one woman, brother. I've seen your rants online. You are a goddamn fool. Okay? I'm just gonna be real. You entertaining as hell. You can't even handle one woman. And this is what I'm finding out about a lot of you brothers out here, okay? You want all the women in the world. You can't even handle one. Okay? Maybe you just need one. Because you're having a hard time even managing that. Look at you. You go beauty, you tell her all her information. The other chick you was dealing with, she had 2 kids by 2 different dudes. And then she was doing OnlyFans videos with the dude, the baby daddy, while you was still with her. Bruh. Bro, you're struggling right now, bro. You need to sit your ass down, okay?
But I am this sun. I am Aten. And any woman around me is considered my planet or my earth. And just like the sun, I'ma shine, I'ma take care of my earth. Just like the sun take care of this planet. I'ma take care of my earth. I'ma shine my seed of thought, my physical seed, and expect my woman to reflect that. I'ma invest. Just like the sun invests itself into the planets, I invest myself into the women of my life. But I no longer, you know what I'm saying?
Do you really? Because these little videos of Golden Beauty, like maybe Quasi can show some screenshots of how you be disrespecting her. Are you sure you invest in her life? Because you be calling her all kind of hoes, all kind of thoughts, disrespecting her family, about to fight her uncle. Bruh, that lady is tired of your ass, okay? You going to jail pretty soon. Oh yeah, you were in jail. Because you shot her goddamn garage. I mean, this is ridiculous. Y'all, this is a dude y'all gave $100,000 in 2 days. And you be scamming too, bro.
No longer, you know what I'm saying? I don't want nobody running around when I'm saying the black woman is God, y'all getting that shit twisted. That means you can bully men and debo men and you like, no. You're supposed to be the physical embodiment of the universe. That's all that means. It don't mean you can debo niggas or dog niggas or be a bitch. It don't mean that. So with that being said, this is my understanding of polygamy, and this
is my rewind that back part. This is my understanding of polygamy. Play that back.
This is my understanding of polygamy.
Y'all saw that. This is how dumb. This is how dumb he is. This is how dumb some of y'all are. Y'all gave this man some money, bro. This IQ is at least 40. I mean, there are hyenas smarter than this.
And this is why I no longer subscribe to the black woman is God, because y'all taking that shit out of context. So from here on out, I won't be saying that. From here on out, I'll be saying, I'm the sun, and my women are my planets. Some are bigger and stronger and closer to the sun. Some are smaller and orbit around. Every planet has its own size and individuality, and they all rotate and revolve around the sun at different speeds and paces, and that's just like women. Some women are closer to men than others. Some women are different sizes in their volume and worth, and they all interact with the sun differently. But at the end of the day, they all play their role. And don't one planet try to knock other planets off so that they can get the most sunlight.
Okay, so you did you catch that, guys? All the planets supposed to revolve around the sun and be okay with being side chicks. That's what he's saying right there. So my other planets ain't supposed to be trying to get more sunlight from the other. No, you get your day on Tuesday. I'm gonna f you on Thursday. Okay, and don't you say nothing about it. All right, you planet You shut up, Planet. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even call them hoes. Shut up, Planet. Planet, shut your mouth. Don't you say nothing else, Planet. I'm gonna block you, Uranus. No pun intended on that. Pluto. Yeah, so you planets orbit around me. When I need you, you come and get these booty clapping sounds, right? And I'm gonna go ahead on and I need you to thought it up, take your planet ass on, and we'll be good. Got it.
That's crazy. But with that being said, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. It's the General. Froze.
General what? Lion? We gonna cut the goddamn video off. We tired of y'all. This is absolutely foolishness. And I'm sorry I had to put y'all through this goddamn video. But this dude is crazy. We just gonna leave it like that. Guys, we out. Peace! What's good, everybody? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson, back with another episode of Fair Use, guys. And today, I just got this video, right, where this particular lady is saying that if you are a man and you make $10,000 a month, you are too broke for her. Now, that income, I believe, $120,000 a year puts you in the top at least 20% of all Americans. But guys, this is a crazy video, so let's get into the video.
Comment. $117,000 a year is $10,000 a month. It's not that I live a lavish lifestyle. It's that I live an adult life. I'm 25 years old. You cannot survive on $10,000 a month. I can't.
Bullshit. $10,000 a month in most major cities in the world, you can survive. Even in New York City, even if your rent is like $3,000 a month, I mean, you still have $4,000 to $5,000 left, maybe. All right, it's plenty of money, especially if you live in cities that don't require you to have a car. You're just being stupid, okay? The average household income in America is like $63,000. What the hell are you talking about? Again, entitled idiots. Let's go.
I can't. Sir, I'm from California. Average where? My parents were making at least $400,000 a year with a combined income. In California, and I'm in Arizona now, so like...
You buffoon. Arizona is not as expensive as California. Now, it is getting more pricey in real estate, but people are moving from California to Arizona because it's cheaper! You are an idiot! Again, this is what we're talking about. People running their mouth on social media when they probably are living in a dusty ass apartment like the one I'm in right now. Stop the show. Don't be mad, because I actually make more than $120,000 a year. I make $121,000 a year. All right, but let's just get back into it.
Sir, $117,000 a year is not a lot of money. It's a lot of money to some Americans because Americans are broke.
Okay. $117,000 is not like becoming a millionaire, but it's enough to, depending on where you live in the country, invest, you can start a small business, you can do a lot of things, depending on where you live, with $117,000. Here's the situation though. I guarantee you she doesn't make $117,000. And we're gonna find out because watch how she flips the script in a minute, but just keep watching.
But $100,000 is not a lot of money, but congratulations.
Watch this, guys.
Okay, so it looks like this video is getting a lot of views, and before it blows up, you know, I just want to get a few things straight. I sound really like entitled.
Ding, ding, ding. Give me a ding, ding, ding sound effect, please. Yes, you do. You sound like a spoiled fucking brat, but let's continue.
Entitled in the video that I posted, and that's not how I meant to come across. I should have never used the word a lot, because let's get this straight. If someone offered me $100,000, that's the price for the reality TV show I'm trying to be on, I would grab.
Wait a minute. $100,000. That's the price of the reality show you're trying to be on. Storytime music, Quincy. See, this is what broke people do on the internet. This is what they do all the time, right? You see broke people on the internet always flexing about what they have, what other people don't have, what somebody in their family earns. And then when it's a project that they want to do that costs that amount of money, they don't have it. She don't have $100,000, but it's not a lot of money. See, that's the problem with being entitled. Many people want things that they don't have themselves and feel that somebody gotta go, owe it to them. Imagine you being a broke ass man and you telling yourself, I don't want no woman that's broke. You broke. Okay? You a woman that got 3 kids. I don't want a man that got kids. You got kids. And $100,000 is a lot of money. You don't even have that. You don't have any real income. And it just goes to show, like, look, as guys, how many of you are trying to impress people or women who don't even have nearly what you do, and they're telling you that what you don't have is not enough? And when they don't even have it themselves. It's crazy.
And run and invest and use that for my music, for my fitness, for my business, for my home.
For your music, for your fitness, for your business. So, okay, so you don't have any real skills. You want to have a music, broke. Fitness coaches, very few of them make money. Your business, you don't have a business. You're dusty. And this is who guys are being ridiculed by. People who don't have shit. And you guys waste your time trying to impress people like this? She don't even know what to do with $100,000, let alone shame you for having $100,000. All right?
For my home, for my family, I would give back to the community. $100,000 is a lot of money. I do apologize for using the wrong word, for using the wrong verbiage. I did. I sounded like a silver spoon, and I'm not her. I'm not that girl. And you guys are like, oh, that's what the silver spoon girl says. I mean, even after researching a little bit more and realizing that, like, the national U.S. average of income is almost $60,000, like median at 2022. Comparing that to $100,000, $100,000 is a lot. That's a lot. And so I shouldn't have said, and I don't want to backtrack. Like, I don't regret what I said. I regret the way I said it because I don't want anyone.
Bruh. Now you're just pleading for mercy because you sound stupid. Because you're broke. We all know now that you don't got shit. I mean, you're kind of cute, but that's all you got. You probably not even in your own car right now. Who knows?
I don't want anyone to mistake who I am or how I'm living my life and stuff like that. I'm very.
We know that you're dusty. That is absolutely true.
Grateful for what I have. I've always wanted more.
You ain't got shit. Trust me.
Wanted more for myself. I want to do better in life and I want to give back. I want to leave an impact on this world. I want to be a bigger influence and show people that you can be yourself and do anything that you want. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. Not everyone had the same upbringing as me. Not everyone had the same upbringing as you. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want more for yourself, then there's nothing wrong with that either. When I was talking about $100,000, dividing it by 12 months being $10,000 a month, my rent is $2,000. Now, The rent in Arizona may be different to where you are. There are other financial decisions I can make. For example, if I want to save money, I can live with someone else, like a roommate. But I don't want to live with a roommate. I want to live alone.
So if a man makes $10,000 a month in rent in Arizona, where you live, is $2,000 a month. That's $8,000 a month left over. So assuming he has taxes, let's say he's losing $3,000 a month in taxes. That's $5,000 a month left over to pay your rent if you had a serious relationship with a guy. Okay? Okay?
Live alone. I want to have my own place. So someone mentioned it. And by the way, that's mascara on the roof of my car because you know, as a girl, when we're doing our mascara, it happens to me all the time. And I've gone to get my car cleaned and they've just said that
Just shut up. I don't even want to talk to you no more. Listen. Guys, here's what we need to talk about here today. Okay, this is important. We have to stop letting people tell us who don't have shit what is and what isn't a lot of what? Money. All right? I really blocked that out a long time ago. Oh, you don't make enough money. You don't have a nice car enough for me. I never listened to that. Because those people typically don't work hard. They don't have a motivated mindset to do anything. They're typically losers. And they're always broke. Always. Most people who talk down on people and they talk about what money isn't a lot or is a lot. And they shame, those people are typically broke. All right? People spending their time all the time bragging about money. They're broke, usually. Like, you don't make this amount of money, you're broke. That's typically the case, all right? Guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again. Another episode here of Fair Use. Guys, I really appreciate you for that. I'm out. Peace.